evening, everybody. Nice to have you company wherever you're tuning in all around Australia or indeed the world on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. Welcome to night one of week 2 of term 4 and the Temple of Speed for a double header of Monday Night Motorsport. First up, we've got the Super2 V8 Supercar Championship Series, and then, of course, we get stuck into the second round of Waste Options GT3 for this season. It's still somewhat of a novelty, saying something other than GT4 as the precursor, the entree to the main course on a Monday night. But we will get used to it by week 10, I promise you. Great to have you along for the ride, everybody. Zach Caban, Liam Banks and Grant Gill here with you for the next 3 hours or so as we get stuck into one of the big weeks of the year, of course, and by which I mean we're just going to get over our grand final hangover in time for the Cricket World Cup to start on Thursday, and, of course, Formula V on Thursday night as well. The big prize of Australian motorsport this year is actually up for grabs in 27 days' time when I'll be at carco.com.au Raceway in Barbagallo, Western Australia, and the Circuit XL Racing Association Nationals of 2022. I don't know what everybody else is hoo-haring about this week, but that's the big daddy as far as October is concerned. Gentlemen, welcome into you. Supercars made a very triumphant return last week, Grant Gill. I'm going to start with you because you were here filling in for me whilst I was watching the concert of the year down at the Sydney Opera House. It was incredible, the turnout, and the club had to take action. Yep.
Here we go. Thanks, Zach. Still getting to terms with this broadcasting thing. I'm only new, so give me a bit of a break. But yeah, it was an amazing start to the season last week with over 60 people, well over 60 people wanting to get into the server, and Adam's computer had absolute coronary, and although he tried to hit it with all sorts of defibrillators, did not work. We haven't got much time here, Zach, so probably need to
haven't
through this.
No defibrillators at all. In fact, so bad was last week that Adam Lavis has requested the next 2 Monday nights worth of stress leave. So that's why he's not here. Grant Gill deputising for him. And it's funny because we were only talking about making sure microphones were switched on 30 seconds before we went on air, ladies and gentlemen. So, yes, bear with us throughout the course of the next couple of hours. I'm really glad that mine was, because there have been times where the ledge has been on the opposite footing. Anyway, Greg Favell and Andrew Dutch, the front row, Kevin Coleman and Tim Harris, the second row, Mikey Hammond and Braden Sagassa, the third row, Jaden Green, Dane Snadden, Ryan Tagle and John Merritt make up the first 5 rows of the grid. Second bunch of 10, here we go. Jason Spriggs and Chris Stark, Shane Roffey, Nick Fodiatis, Mark Horton and Nick Wood, Matt Schmidtke and Jacob Hughes, Paul Wood and Dale Sharp take us back through row 10. The next batch of 10.
Yes,
over the page we go. Oh, actually, we don't have to go too far. There's only another 5. Harrison Colville and John Simpson, Chris Bleakley and Liam Reston, and Matty Scholes from row 13. So it's a field of 25, which is a bit different to last week because we've split it up into Super 2 and Super 3 going forward. Liam Banks, good evening to you. The old Ford v Holden rivalry at the Temple of Speed. We love these high horsepower circuits.
Yeah, we really do. Monza, of course, being the most iconic of all of the Temples. Well, it's called the Temple of Speed. It's the most iconic of all the high horsepower circuits. And that run into turn one is always full of
wow.
And these drivers already going 4 wide. There's no way they're all going to get through that chicane. So let's see who survives and who's going to end up on the gravel on the outside.
Grinder of a start from Andrew Dutch, who got to the inside and displaced Greg Favell cleanly to turn 1. Favell fought back on the outside to get the better of Tim Harris and Mikey Hammond, also Kevin Coleman, who had a shocker of a start. Down 2 spots for him. Sagassa and Snadden have also dropped down, but thankfully, somehow, they've made it through turn 1, 2, and 3. Unscathed. Look at Michael Hammond charging up through into position number 4. Special livery for him tonight. We'll talk about that as the race goes on. It's a 25-minute sprint. We'll get back to the track map in just a moment. Also, the championship standings. Let's just watch this sort itself out in the opening stages here. The 007 fending off Tim Harris in the 093 at the moment. Coleman, Merritt, then Green, Sagassa, Snadden and Roffey making up the top 10. Roffey up 3 spots early in the piece here as they head down towards the Ascari chicane and then down to the Parabolic Up. On the opening lap here, 25 minutes the journey. They were clocking around about that 1 minute 47 marker in qualifying. There will be a splash and dash requirement. We're looking at about 14 laps race distance here. The opening one of a 2-race campaign for us tonight because it's a 60-minute sprint for GT3 as they make their way down towards the Parabolic Up and around onto the main straight. John Merritt having a lunge down on the inside and got it as well.
Great move.
Kevin Coleman wants to force the issue on the outside and hold on, but Merritt is going to hold sway and take position. So up into 5th goes Merritt. Bit of a argy-bargy down at the final corner. A few different lines being taken there. A bit of marble grip being kicked up there and picked up by some of these drivers as they make their way down the main straight. 3 wide in a supercar, if you don't mind. That's very unheard of. Merritt and also Harris Coleman not done yet. Have a look at that. Coleman back down on the inside, but Merritt's going to have the inside running for the next chicane if he can hold there on the outside. But Coleman wants it more at the moment. Have a look at this. Side by side they go at full tilt. And Merritt now concedes and yields. Does he want to force the issue on the run of the chicane? No, he does not. Banksy, take over. We need a breath.
Yes, you certainly do, Zach. Nicely called for the first lap there. We've got a Dutch out front of Favel in second, Hammer Time in third. There is not a gap bigger than 3/4 of a second throughout the entirety of this field. So evenly matched are they all. And of course, being helped by the massive draft effect that you get at Monza, none of these cars are going to be able to break away. It's going to be all to do with your racecraft. That is going to determine who wins this race. And at the moment, it's Dutch with the best of all, joined by Hammer Time and Merritt. Merritt up 4 places. He's one of the biggest movers, certainly the biggest mover in the top 10 from 10th to 6th. So see what he can do. But Hammer Time, he's up 2. He's into the podium positions. He's chasing down Favel and Dutch. And that gap from Hammer Time to Favel is just about the biggest on the circuit at 0.75 seconds. But we're watching on board with Favel as he chases down Dutch, just approaching Parabolica. Really important to get a good run out this corner. Oh, look, the tyre smoke from Dutch. That's a slow entry there, and that's going to put Favel right on the back of him, and he's going to have a great slipstream going down into the chicane.
Yeah.
But do you want the outside or do you want the inside? We'll have to wait and see what is going to win in these cars.
What you want is to keep that bloke charging, lurking in the shadows just behind you and creeping up slowly. Michael Hammond at bay. We want to keep him at bay. So whatever they need to do to keep him from getting to the front is what needs to be the focus here and now. Michael Hammond 147.977 and on a charge. John Merritt has dropped a couple of spots coming out of the chicane on this 3rd lap. 25 minutes the journey here. Michael Hammond, a hark back to the years of 1985 and 1986 and the Brock Moffat year of 86, I think was what I read correctly earlier in the day on the Aussie Races Facebook page. Of course, paying homage to one of the great traditions in Australian sport and paying homage to one of the great characters in Australian sport by putting a famous Peter Brock livery on one of the great characters of the GSRC's car for the night. And a mobile, there used to be a mobile sticker there where the Aussie Races Bailey Ladders logo now is positioned. So it's a very nice modern touch to an old classic for those guys. Very well done to Nick Fodiatis and Paul Wood, who are paying homage to their mate Michael Hammond tonight with that.
In all the right colours
he is
too.
The fastest on. Absolutely. He is the fastest on the track at the moment.
You guys weren't here last week. This was very much part of course, apart from Hammond, he was a little bit further back. I think the supercars, the VF Commodore, had a glitch, whereas if you went into the pits, you never came out. There was the Shane Van Gisbergen legacy.
That's it.
So what the club did last week was said, all right, no pit stops for anyone. You don't have to change tyres. You don't have to change fuel. Here comes Favel having a big look down the inside. Michael Hammond just looking to pick up the position.
Not yet.
But with 60 or 57 cars, I think it ended up, we lost quite a few. Oh, Hammond lights it up on his exit. And the nude car behind them is Tim Harris, so he mustn't have worked out a livery for this vehicle just yet. But that glitch has been fixed in the very recent past, and so there will be pit stops tonight. We're anticipating the fuel was dropped back, and there is a fast repair as well. But Dutch and Favell were at it the whole race last week. They were not separated by more than this throughout the whole course of the night.
Banksy, that was very well picked up from Grant. Actually, it's the birthday livery. It's just missing the icing and candles.
Wouldn't that be amazing, though, seeing the candles on top of the car? Although I'm not sure they'd stay alight. With the pace these things go down the straight, they reach quite a top speed, even though they don't have any downforce, so they can't maintain speed for the corners. But boy, does that engine push them along quite nicely.
Might have a real quick look at our points whilst things have just settled down. We didn't go live on YouTube. Apologies for that. We're trying a new system.
Okay.
And it was supposed to launch all that, but obviously has not. Well, so stick with us on, I think, my...
Facebook and Twitch?
Yes, exactly.
Copy that.
Zach. Quick look at the points from last week. So this was what ended up being the elite split. As you can see, Favell and Dutch were right in there. Michael Hammond in a 6th place. Roffey finished up in a very good place last week. And if we have a look at some of our people in the AM split, Curtin Aiton Schultz, our broadcast buddy, he's in there. Julian Mookie. We've got so many people who've popped back in to have a look, courtesy of this server. Oh, there we go.
That's one. Dutch and Favell and Hammond, and it's all gone up in smoke for Greg Favell.
Here comes Michael.
Here's a look at it again. Hammond having a lunge down the inside.
No.
Oh, no. Favell's gone to cover off Hammond, and he left it too late. Harrison Colville's picked up a 15-second penalty as well, boys.
We'll need to have another look at that. I'm not sure he was so much covering up Hammer time as trying to avoid Dutch in front of him. I think he got a little bit caught out by Dutch's braking point. It seemed to be quite close to the back of the car in first. I might be wrong. Let's probably give us a better view. Yeah, I think he's... Oh, maybe not. Maybe not.
Now, there have been a lot of instances before, Grant Gill. You've been here longer than Banksy. You can verify this, where usually where Michael Hammond has been on the racetrack, trouble hasn't been too far behind or in front thereof. In this particular instance, though, he could be viewed as an innocent party, given that Favell has moved under brakes.
Yeah, I would think so. Initially, you look at it and you think, well, Hammond's not far enough up alongside there to do that, but he didn't do anything. He held his line. He didn't lunge in. He was quite consistent, and I think Favell was so interested in Dutch in front, he had no clue that Michael was there, and now finds himself back in 9th place, down 8.
Trying to claw his way back. Onto the main straight we go again. 25 minutes the distance here, and we've got John Simpson and Liam Reston swapping around places at the moment. Ryan Tegel as well. So a couple of off-track alerts back there in the battles for 17th, 18th, and 19th. Oh, that's why we've had an enormous shunt. A monumental crash on the run down to the Parabolica. Let's have a look. Uh-oh. Squeeze job. Watch this.
Oh, we'll have another.
See you later, boys. Thanks for coming. Bang. Oh.
We'll have another
and collected on the way through.
Overhead, and we'll see. Yeah, 4
There's the squeeze.
4 into 1.
4 into 2 does not go.
Yeah, sorry, Mitch. We're trying a new restream thing that's supposed to launch everything. It hasn't, so it should be on Facebook and Twitch. The Twitch is...
I can verify that it is on Facebook.
Oculair
it is on Facebook.
304 or Oculair. Hey, Antonio, welcome back.
Antonio's back.
Yeah.
At 5 a.m. New York time. Good on you, mate. Thanks for tuning in.
Hope you've kept your feet dry over in New York there. They've had a lot of water, Zach, over in New York.
They have.
Recently.
Well.
A couple of things as well. Twitch not working either. Is it not on Oculair? Should have come up, but all right, we're on Facebook tonight.
We are on Facebook exclusively, and that's okay. We'll drive more viewers to the Facebook page. We're happy with that. Down the back straight we go. Look who's found his way to the front. Michael Hammond in the 007. 007 to P1. round of the main straight, the end of lap 6 here at the Monza circuit in Italy. Double header out of Monza tonight because we've also got the GT3s coming to you from the same venue. We will bring you the second round of the Pro Split Series for waste options tonight. That's why Greg Favell, Jaden Green jumped to pit lane. Dutch has picked himself up a slowdown. Hammond's found his way to the front. Here we go again on the run to turn 1. Dutch not wanting to... I've been watching, but I was in Facebook jail. And yes, very nicely done. More on that a little bit later. Let's get back to Facebook jail a little bit later on. In the meantime, have a look at this. The elbows are out now. The gloves are off. We're approaching half-race distance at Monza, and neither one of these gentlemen want to yield. And Liam Banks, if you're Tim Harris, you just want to sit in behind these two and wait patiently for the fireworks to let off so that you can come through and clean up the debris on the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Why get involved in this battle right now? You can see how hard these two are battling. You know, Mikey Hammond does not give an inch ever. You know there's a good chance these two aren't going to both make it to the end of the race. So you do just sit back, wait for another 8 minutes, wait until there's 5 minutes remaining, then launch your attack. Attacking now is not going to help if you don't have the pace to break away. So just sit back, be safe. And they're about to go battling into Ascari. Let's see how this goes. Generally, Ascari is not the best place to do battle, and he's not yielding. Dutch is going to stay around the inside. Gets off enough. Yeah, really well done for the two of them. Hammond going around the outside, giving Dutch plenty of space, and Dutch taking off enough speed on the inside to not clatter into Hammond. Really good racing for both of them, and now this battle is going to continue into the Parabolica with Dutch pulling Hammond pulling to the inside of Dutch. And here we are with Harris. He's just going to watch this all unfold. Oh, he might be able to pick off Dutch here. Thinks about it. No, Dutch covers him back off. Going to pull into the slipstream of Hammond. We haven't seen too many moves into the first corner. Oh, and there's Hammond. Hammond into the pits. So that leaves Dutch into this race with Harris in third.
And so Mikey's going down the middle, 7 and 7.
Our old mate Braden Sagassa back in the server. He had a pretty good and clean battle with Michael Hammond. And as I've often said, everyone's got history with Michael Hammond, but those two significantly so. Kevin Coleman, John Hotlap merits up to 4th place with Kevin Coleman tucked in behind him. Big part of the field jumping into the pits, though.
Antonio, they've actually added fire engines to the grid in the Supercar Championship here in Australia. Not the extinguisher part, just the lighted on fire part. Now, down into the chicane we go at the end of the first sector. We're watching the battle for the lead. It's Dutch Harris. Sagasta not too far away. Meriden behind him has clawed his way back up into 4th place, but the field is far from cleansed at this point. The bottom half of the field, 13th back, have pitted. John Simpson's a lap down in 25th place after getting on the tow rope a little bit earlier on after that run down the back straight towards the Parabolica, and that all went horribly wrong for him, unfortunately. So Dutch, Harris, Sagasta, Merritt, Coleman, Snadden, Wood, Horton, and Tegel, the top 10, Grant Gill, and Paul Wood up 11 spots already, Nick Wood up 9, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Falcons, 6 Commodores in the top 10. Actually, it's the Mustang, isn't it? It is the Mustang, yeah. My apologies.
Is it? Is it the Mustang?
Is it?
I don't think so. I don't think they had.
Are we using the legacy supercars or are we using the modern?
Legacy.
Legacy. So yes. It is the Falcon. I was right the first time.
And that's why we're
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Those inside front puffs of smoke is an absolute telltale sign from the legacy cars. We are running open set. Here we go. 1, 2, and 3 all into the pits. Oh, that was very close amongst them too. 4 and 5 follow them in. Dane Snadden, Nick Wood looks like he might be carrying on. Nick Wood will go on.
Now,
Paul Wood's in.
Now, just while we are going through this pit stop sequence and cycle, Antonio, if anybody is new to watching the commentary, oh wow, that's very nice of you, Antonio. We appreciate that. You're welcome back anytime. In saying that, far too kind this early on a Monday night, and I haven't even got going yet. Speaking of commentary, though, he makes a good point, and look, it's somewhat of a good segue for me. If you haven't already, go and check out the work that Andy Raymond has done. Like I won't be watching on Sunday. I avoid supercars in the real world like the plague, but or at least try to. But if you are a fan of nostalgia, what Mike Raymond used to do, introing the great race on the 7 Network in the 90s, Andy Raymond has done a 2023 variant thereof, and it is bloody brilliant. So well done to all involved at Repco, and I think the V8s list might have had a hand in that as well. So well done to Aaron Noonan and his crew. Well done to Repco. Andy Raymond still got it, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. There's no doubt about that. Nick Wood, the leader here. The field not yet
Oh, that's a lot of curb.
cleansed because he and Nick Fodiatis, the two Nicks, yet to transit pit lane. There's Michael Hammond sitting fourth place at the moment,
So
second best to the rest. So Tim Harris, the effective race leader now.
Yeah, he got by Hammond and Dutch to be in front of all these three guys. Let's have a look where Greg Favell.
And it's a bloody 5-car fight. It's a bloody 5-car fight for the lead, Brian. Have a look at it.
It is indeed.
Harris was there originally. Hammond was there. Dutch was there. Favell was there. Sagas is now part thereof. Have a look at this. Magnificent. And John Merritt's not too far away either. If they can latch back on, we'll have a 6-car fight for the lead. There's Nick Fodiatis, the Bailey Ladders entry. And he's heading towards pit lane this time, Bella. Nick Wood already there. 5 laps to go this time by the strike.
No surprise, Nick Fodiatis going for an extra lap. He's very shrewd with his fuel strategies when he hasn't got outright pace, but I expect we will see him in this time. Oh, thanks, Nick.
Well done, Grant. Well done. I already, to be fair, I already had the red light, the in alert on the dash on the timing monitor before he actually parked it, so I knew where you were going and you were ahead of it. Well done. In saying all that, here's the battle for the lead. Tim Harris, Dutch on the outside, Hammond the inside. Dutch has to yield, has no choice. Now has to go on the defence and be mindful of Braden Sagas's presence as well. Have a look at the gas man. He's right there in the thick of it now. 4-way fight for the lead, but if they don't latch back onto Tim Harris in a quick hurry, he'll be gone, Liam Banks. Shut up, David Kirby.
Welcome back, Dave. He did threaten last week that he was sharpening his pencil and getting all his best material. Oh, I haven't had a big wiggle out of there, but yeah, good on you, David. He doesn't need any encouragement. He's on 3 strikes tonight. 3 strikes, and then we cut his microphone off.
Welfare check. Liam Banks, are you still with us?
Yes, sorry, didn't realize I was muted. I was trying to say, and then you start talking over like, what's going on? I realized I was muted. No, watch the cars coming out of the first chicane. When they come out of the first chicane, the car on the inside is always getting a heap of wheel spin. And that's because there's less grip there, because you're not on the racing line. The racing line's all the way on the outside to the curb. So the cars on the inside, they look like they're going to get the move done, but then they can't get the power down, and the car on the outside has the advantage. So you definitely want to be on the outside coming out of the first chicane, because every time I've seen them go through there, the car on the outside ends up winning out that traction battle.
How good is this? 4 laps to go this time by the line. And if this is any indication as to the sort of entertainment we're in for when we go GT3 racing at 8:45 Eastern Daylight Time tonight, I'm going to get that one in as many times as I can, trust me. You're in for a treat tonight. You're in for a good night at the office, ladies and gentlemen. You've picked a good night to start your week with the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Have a look at them. Down the main straight we go, and 4 to go. Jason. Harris leading by half a second to Hammond. Dutch is just on the tail of Hammond at the moment. Sagasa within half a second as well. Favell just outside. Merritt's there too. Jason Springs, 2.6 seconds further down the road, but he's just punched out the fastest lap of the race at 1:47.793. Nick Wood, after that pit stop, came out 8th. Jaden Green and Shane Roffey make it 9 and 10, and Kevin Coleman is 11th, despite... I need to further say, despite the fact that he was running up there with Michael Hammond early in the piece, Coleman has got his way back to 11th.
Yeah, we're just watching from the rear wing of Tim Harris, who leads this race, and not for... he's been leading for a few laps now. He'll be desperate to try and get to the end. Those 5 minutes are going to feel like 5 hours for Harris as he tries to fend off the hassling from Mikey Hammond, Dutch, Sagasa, and Favell. And if you're not familiar with the colours of the cars, let's quickly go through them as a spotter's guide. Harris, he's in the nude car. You then got Hammond, he's in that white, blue, and red entry that we're fawning over a little bit earlier. The light blue and white entry is Dutch, and then the purple car is Sagasa, and behind them is a Favell in the green car. and Merit in the red and yellow. Of course, you'll recognize the red, yellow, and white as being part of the Porsche Tuning Boys. They've been in the GSRC for a very long time in multiple championships. And Harris just staying ahead of Hammond. When is Hammond going to launch the move, guys? What corner is he going to do it in?
Whoa, Harris incredibly wide coming onto the main straight. The off-track alerts lighting up left, right, and centre. Down the main straight we go. You cannot afford to blink. You can't afford to miss a breaking point, an apex, a marker. You need to hit all your points, especially when you got Michael Hammond breathing down your neck, and down the inside he fires it to turn one. You race leader, the 007's back in front. Harris is in trouble because he's got Sagassa on his inside, he's got Dutch on his outside. Have a look at this.
Oh, my word.
Dutch goes to second, Sagassa third. Harris has been swamped and drops to fifth. Greg Favell on the comeback through the field, back to fourth place now. And John Merritt not too far away either. Oh, how good's this on a Monday night? Oh, Greg Favell's gone wide at the chicane. And he's going to lose 2 spots here because Harris claws the one back and says, thanks very much. I needed a little bit of a leg up at this point in time. I was just going backwards. Now I can begin the charge back forward, but time's against him here. He's going to run out of it. He's got 2 laps after this one. John Merritt's in there as well. He says, thanks very much. I'm now in the top 5, having started said. So one small mistake for Greg Favell. One overtaking opportunity that leads to 2 and 3 for Tim Harris. And all of a sudden, the top 6 here looks completely different to a lap ago. And Michael Hammond is in front.
Yeah, and look at the gap they had out front already. Almost up to a second, which we just about the biggest gap we've seen at the front for the entirety of this race. But that gap has been closed through Ascari. So Hammond just not quite getting it right. And that's allowed Dutch back within 0.6 of a second. We'll see who gets a better run out of the Parabolica. But now that gap, which threatened to maybe become uncatchable, has come all the way down. And once again, we have a 6-car battle for the lead. Harris isn't out of this. He is not out of this one iota. All it takes is for Dutch or Sagassa to launch a brave move down the inside, slow all of those current podium positioned cars down, and he is right back in this for the win.
Amazing
battle. One more to go.
Amazing battle just a little bit further back. Horton is Favell's teammate. Yeah. Paul Wood's been within 1/10 of a second just about the whole way around the last couple of laps. Wow. Harrison Colville, one of our previous races as well, he's battling right out with Dane Snadden, and Matt Schmidtke and Chris Stark having a fantastic battle as well. So battles all over the place, but we have to go back to the front with just 1 minute 45 to go.
Absolutely, we do, Grant. And I'm having a look at the timing screen here. Liam Reston's parked up. He's done. Chris Blickley's in pit lane. He's not going any further. He's been in there for about 13 and a half minutes now. But Liam Reston's out of the race. John Simpson's a lap down. All hell breaking. Oh, there's John Simpson there at the bottom of shot. He's about to go top of shot now. He's about to go a lap down. As this chasing pack of 6 goes through the Ascari chicane for the second last time. Now, a last lap thriller, but I haven't got the camera set up. I'm working with the remote equipment this time round. However, we've got a last lap thriller on our hands here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. We've got 2 3-way battles for first and fourth, and beyond that, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think, positional battles, 2-by-2 battles going on, or 2-way fights going on beyond that. Have a look at that. 1:05 in the afternoon. It's 40 degrees on track. It's a lot hotter than that. 19 the ambient. Have a look at this. What? Flag flies at Monza. 1 to go. Let's go to the checkered flag. Can Michael Hammond get this job done? Have a look behind him.
Oh.
Have a look to the outside, to the inside. 3 wide on the run to turn 1. And Brian Sagassa's got nowhere to go.
Oh,
he tries to go to the outside and right at turn 2 on Michael Hammond. And on the outside was Starch, who did get the job done. But can he hold it as they go through turn 3? Hammond's going to hang tough around the outside. Sagassa wants to push him through. Harrison for Velwell latch on. No, it's been left out of it. Hammond to the inside.
To the inside.
Sagassa bowls out of it for the moment.
Oh.
Whoa! It's blown up. It was always bound to happen.
How do you capitalise?
Sagassa! No, he can't get it done. Michael Hammond got a tap there on the inside from Greg Vervelle. He drops 2 spots. Merritt's back in and all of a sudden back in the top 5. He taps Tim Harris on the way through. He's back in 4th. Dutch has found his way back to the front. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if Race Control want to have a look at the tape after the fact. Down to the Ascari for the last time. Have a look at this. Dutch. No, to the inside of Harris. Can't get it done. But Hammond's going to come back through. Hammond raging bull style. Trying to hang tough around the outside. It's compromised him because he caught the gravel.
Oh, look at
Sagasa.
Sagasa.
He's got no room. He's got 2 wheels in the glass. Brayden Sagasa to the inside. Contact no.
Here's Vervelle.
Goes forward. Have a look at Vervelle. Greg Vervelle. Brayden Sagasa's gone. Greg Vervelle's going to get the job done. Or is he? Dutch up the outside. Vervelle the inside. Dutch got it. No. Got to 4th. Harris 3rd. Hammond 5th. Briggs got to 6th. He finished within quarter of a second of the next mob. He finished within quarter of a second of the top 5, having not factored in that fight all night long. Wood, Green, Sagasa live time in 9th and Roffey 10th. That is incredible.
Welcome back, Super 2s. Welcome back.
And apologies to everyone in Tennant Street that's going to have noise complaints thrown at my mother and father's residential address for the rest of the night after that. My bloody goodness me. Dutch gets the job done from Vervelle and Harris, 0.03 the margin. Merritt somehow in all that was 6th at the start of the final lap, ended up 4th. Hammond, after that contact with Dutch, and unfortunately my screen froze up at that point in time. I didn't see what happened at the chicane. Then Jason Spriggs came from nowhere. Brayden Sagasa dead set, terribly unlucky and all of that. Can we have a look at some replays, please, Grant? Because there's so much to pick apart from that final lap. And Liam Banks, I'm going to need to catch my breath, so you're going to have to do it.
Oh, it'll be my absolute pleasure to go back through all of that action. It all kicked off at the first chicane at the start of the final lap. Everybody going for it. Sagasa and Dutch launching on either side of Hammond. And then here they are coming through to the second chicane. Let's look what happens here. So you got Dutch on the outside of Hammond. I think Dutch just loses it by himself, doesn't he?
I think so. But it compromised Hammond on the run through, didn't it?
Yeah, and
he got crossed up on the exit and balked himself. and then got hung out to dry there by Vervelle.
Yeah, I think he may even have been helped out there a little. There might have been a touch there. I recall seeing live, I didn't see it there, but live I remember seeing him looking like he was about to get hit.
Go back again and have a little bit more of this. So we'll try and get overhead.
Thank Christ we got 25 minutes to catch our breath before the GT3s take off, boys.
So in they go, side by side. Little bit of a toe in. I reckon certainly Dutch has to carry some penalty for leaving the track.
Yeah, I think so. He's left the track and getting an advantage, hasn't he? But I don't think that's what upset Hammond. I think Hammond was getting upset anyway. Was there a touch there between Vervelle and Hammond?
Yeah, probably racing incident, I would think, at that point.
Can I stress to everyone watching at home at this point in time that even though we've called them across the line as we have, I'm going to wager, as Mick Malloy would say, on the front bar. I'd like to wager that we're looking at provisional results when Grant Gill puts them up on the screen. Once Race Control does have a chance to have a look. There's the contact, Greg Vervelle and Michael Hammond, and it did get Michael Hammond out on the dirty stuff. It did lose him 2 spots. Vervelle on the charge through then. Okay, no further action, contact car 76 and 07. So that's Vervelle cleared of that on lap 14. So that's unlucky for Michael Hammond.
Hanging fruit there they've picked, haven't they, to throw that one out straight away.
Incredible. But this was Merritt on Harris trying to get through on the inside. And watch Hammond trying to force his way back through here on Merritt. He does give him a touch. I thought that was the case.
Yeah.
Oh, and then 2 wheels in the grass. Unbelievable. Now, this is the one we really want to have a look at. Brayden Sagasa had no room down the inside. He had no right to be there. He had 2 wheels in the grass at one point, as you saw. And then he's a little bit taily before he even gets to the corner. There's no contact per se between him and Dutch. But then, because Dutch is wide, down on the inside, you've got Greg Favell just saying, thank you very much. I'll have the clean run. Bang.
See, but here's...
Sagassa, but then Sagassa trying to correct it has got into the side of Greg Favell, which is unsettled Favell, and given Dutch a second wind. Oh, there's so much to pick apart there.
Yeah, I mean,
it is incredible.
If Sagassa's slow because of his battle with Dutch, then does that expunge Favell of any conflict? Look at Sagassa trying to get back to the inside, trying to get back on the inside. Favell's just starting to drift wide a little bit. Oh, do you call that a racing incident as well? That's just rubbing racing, isn't it? In these cars, that's what it's all about. But we'll certainly leave that to our esteemed race controllers.
Okay. Excuse me. Just before we go any further, let me address the banter that's going on between D Kirby and C Whitaker at the moment, and I'm lining these two up and coming in off the long run. Right. Let's be perfectly honest. Okay. Queensland are none from 5 after the last 48 hours. Lost the AFL Grand Final, lost the NRL Grand Final, lost the NRLW Grand Final, lost the State Championship NRL Grand Final, and then got left behind at the starting blocks to the tune of an hour yesterday morning, wound the clock back 112 years, and are stuck there for the next 27 weeks. Good evening to you both. Nice to have you on board tuning into the coverage. Hello, Nick Fodiatis. Good evening.
Runs there for Zach.
Yeah, exactly. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Nice to have you on board, mate. Firstly, well done to you and Paul Wood and everybody else responsible for Michael Hammond's livery tonight. It looked spectacular, and it was fairly prominent there for the longest time. It got a lot of screen time, so I know you guys will be very happy about that. Talk to me about your race, mate, because it was going so well. You went the long run with Nick Wood. You two were the last to pit, but we didn't get a chance to take our eyes off the front end of town for too much of that. You'll see why when you go back and watch the tape. And I'm looking at the scoreboard now and seeing your name down in 18th. So just talk us through the last 25 minutes, please.
Well, good to have you back on board, Zach. The Bailey Ladders car was actually quite good tonight. And as we know, and Grant pointed out last week, I don't generally get through the first chicane without incident, and we got all the way to the last corner before I got drop kicked off the circuit. So, I mean, there wasn't any malice in it. It was just someone missed their brake marker, and I just happened to be the extra 4 wheels to slow them down. And then from that point on, it was just a lonely race, pretty much. I did watch some action happen in front of me with, I believe it was Stark and Colville.
Yeah, they were at it. Horton, I think, might have been involved there as well somewhere.
Yeah, so I don't know what was going on there, but yeah, I just had a lonely race from that point on, so it was just a big, long test session. It's good to see that Mikey, for a fair chunk of that race after the stops, was leading it and doing the Brocador some good value for Bailey Ladders as well.
I was going to say, I saw the post earlier. Was it 85 or 86 you're paying homage to? Because the liveries
86.
were identical. 86, yeah. And, of course, that was the year of Brock and Alan Moffat, the crash before Hardy's Heroes, etc. and so forth. Yep. Now, what about your teammate here, Mikey Hammond? I mean, he's been such a stalwart in this caper for the longest time, but whatever he gets behind the wheel of, he seems to be incredibly impressive. And he was right in the thick of that tonight. Grant reliably informs me that he was there or thereabouts last week as well. He's sitting pretty after 2 weeks.
Yeah, look, the guy's really good at. I've known him for a very long time, and I guess we first met when we were racing these things. But look, I guess in the lead up to the 60th anniversary of Bathurst 1000, I thought it'd be fitting to put him in a car dedicated to him and Bailey Ladders. So yeah, it's quite good, and it's good to see him at the front. You can't really fault him on his drive. I just watched the last couple of laps or last couple of corners as well. There's nothing he could have done really. Unfortunately, he just got bundled out of the way. So yeah, unlucky for him. He's not the most impressed. I'm sure he's probably just going to jump in his Commodore Ute and go do some laps around the block of Tassie. but other than that, I thought it was a good showing. Paul, his usual conservative approach. Where did he start?
That's a very good question.
19th.
Paul Wood, 19th, up 7 spots. So
Up 7
a good run
spots.
from him. Actually, on that note, 11 spots for Matty Scholes was the biggest mover of the night. There were a couple of 9s there. One was Nick Wood, 7 for Paul Wood, 6 for John Merritt, 5 for Jason Spriggs, the best of the movers. So the clear-cut winner of that is Matty Scholes with 11 positions gained. There were only 2 retirements in the race as well.
Yeah, look, I'm not the best Nick in the server, and Paul's not the best Wood in the server. So unfortunately, congratulations to Nick J. Wood. What's that? 11 spots?
Nick Wood,
9.
Oh, sorry, 9 spots. 16 up to 9. Yeah, up to 7. Yeah, 9 spots.
Yeah. So yeah, look, not as crazy as last week. I did watch that back yesterday. With the re-uploaded.
Hang on, boys. Hang on. Jump in here for a second. 15-second penalty. Greg Favell contact on Braden Sagassa at the final corner. That clear cut, without a shadow of a doubt, gives Andrew Dutch the win. It'll plummet Greg Favell down the order.
Did Dutch not
Braden Sagassa, so he'll jump down to 9th place. And Shane Roffey will be 10th. I'm not sure. We haven't seen anything pop up for Andrew Dutch yet, have we?
No, but he had a massive off-track there, and there was some bumping and grinding, if you will. But
that's right.
Yeah, amazing racing.
At the moment, what we know is that Greg Favell has been rubbed out of it. That's what we know. We'll wait to confirm everything else as it comes up, courtesy of Race Control, who will probably still be reviewing the tape of this race by the time the GT3 race is over and done, and probably the broadcast as well. But that's okay. That's what they're there for, and we greatly appreciate their work as always. Do we have the calendar for the Supercar Championship, Grant? Are we able to put that up on the screen?
We can.
Or do we not?
No,
we do.
I will.
Right, let's have a look at the Let's look at the upcoming races and the schedule ahead. I think we're all excited about next week, because if Monza can dish that up, we know what Phillip Island's capable of, Nick.
Well, exactly. Long, fast corners. It's fast track. It should be good. Watkins Glen Cup. Thank you. Someone's listening to me, because I really do hate the long version of it. I love the Cup version. Road America, yeah. Zandy.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I've never done it in a big, heavy car.
That'll be in the new scan too, with the
that's right, with the banking.
Yeah.
Round 8, I'm looking forward to.
Chicago Street Circuit. These cars are made for those sort of tracks, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. And there's no runoff at Chicago.
No.
Like, literally, the runoff is the other side of the track's corner. So there's going to be people bouncing off those walls back into the oncoming traffic. So that's going to be interesting. But Chicago should be good fun. And then, obviously, the last 2, usual stuff. Happy Bathurst week, by the way, boys.
Indeed.
And you as well. Mate, thanks as always. Well done.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
There was a comment popping up on our Discord server saying that someone's mic is picking up the speakers. It's probably my microphone picking up my headphones, because I got them at full volume, just to drown out everything happening around the streets of Bellbird at the moment. But that's okay. Nicely done. Thank you to you, Nick Photiadis. We'll catch up with you next week.
No worries. Thank you.
Andrew Dutch, good evening to you. So far, the only bit of conjecture that we're not sure of is the off-track on the last lap there. But I tell you what, have you ever been a part of a more thrilling sprint race than that?
Mate, that was honestly one of the best races I've been a part of. It was just, close battles. There was cars flying off left, right and centre. That off-track at the end, that was a big mistake by me. I just got too hard on the brakes and locked up and went straight through, unfortunately. So I slowed down. I served me penalty, I served the slowdown. And, I looked in the rear-view mirror just to make sure there was no cars coming up. And, I think there was someone off in the dirt or something like that. So, whatever comes of it, to be honest.
It's only going to be resolved by many minutes, as Zach said, of race control, analysing different drivers, different situations. So this one might take a while, and the points won't get updated anyway, because Adam Lavis is in Bathurst at the moment. So you'll have to wait until next Tuesday to find out what happened.
Yeah, no, at the end of the day, like I said, it was great racing all around. A lot of pressure, like Mikey Hammond, Greg Favell. I know Braden was up there for a while, so it was a very close, hard-fought race. So it was good to be part of that one.
and not without a couple of moments of evasive action on your part as well, mate. You must enjoy those races so much more, though. They must be so much more rewarding where you've got to dig in and work hard for it rather than, a processional cruise in the playground, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Like, at the start, I got probably one of the best starts I've ever had in these things. I pretty much walked it off the line, no dramas, and I knew I wasn't going to get away from anyone. Just obviously with this track and the tow, it was going to be damn near impossible to get a lead on someone. So I always knew there was going to be battles and there was going to be, dives up into turn one. So I was expecting it. But yeah, mate, it is 100% better than just, cruising away with a victory.
Well, Andrew, yourself and Greg last week after the race was over suggested, I think it might have been Greg suggested, a little bit of extra practice might have been involved, needed, because there were some quick guys out there. Did you get that extra practice?
To be honest, I was no. I'm still a bit dusty from the NRL Grand Final from last night, so I was actually I was almost gonna miss this completely and just go to bed. And I thought, nah, I'll get on. I'll give it a crack. Top 5, I'll be happy. But yeah, I got on probably about 40 minutes prior to the server opening and just done some laps and just chipped away at the pace there.
Very nicely done indeed to make your way through all of that. There was left, right, and centre going on, wasn't there? It's you must have had to have your head on a swivel.
Mate, there was an incident. I think it was turn 1 where Greg Favell got turned around. I think it was, and I had to take the widest line around turn 1 and then the shortest line through turn 2. I'm like, I'm just going to get taken out here. And then that last lap incident on the last corner with Favell and Braden, I just seen him spear off and I thought, oh, how close was that? And I had a look at the replay. It was, pretty close to my rear end.
Oh, yeah. Centimetres in it, no doubt about that. In saying all of that, though, the tightness of this circuit, it was highlighted beyond recognition tonight by the fact that you blokes were going 3 wide at various points and there was no room left to play with. So for all the high-speed nature of the circuit, you haven't got much in the way of wriggle room, which makes, as we see here, trying to execute overtaking opportunities all the more difficult, mate.
How did you get through
exactly?
My goodness.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
how did you get?
100%. Like that. That's like that mistake I made in the second chicane. Just tried to outbrake myself. Just because I knew Mikey Hammer was there, and I thought I'm just going to go a little bit deeper and try and stay side by side with him. But yeah, it was damn near impossible to make a move, and that's when I locked up and speared off through the chicane there.
I think being in the Commodore, the legacy of the performance drivers around the Royal Easter Show, around that dirt track in the Commodores and the Utes, it must be in the DNA of the Commodores for you to have been able to sneak through there past Greg. There was millimetres in it.
Mate, honestly, I was trapping bricks. Like, I see it coming and I'm just thinking, I was expecting it. I was expecting to get hit, and so be it. It is what it is. But yeah, I seen it coming closer and closer and closer. I thought, when's it going to hit? When's it going to hit? And it, obviously it didn't, which I was thankful for. But definitely these, it's good. It's a great track for getting a tow and being able to set up for a move. But you got to obviously into these tight chicanes, you got to make sure you're 100% ready to make a move because there's no room for error.
Indeed. All right, mate. What are your thoughts on our next stop, Phillip Island? I mean, if that's what 6 cars can produce at the top end of town in a 25-car field, we know the grid will expand a little bit for Phillip Island because there's a few people that won't be committed to the whole series that will crawl out from under the woodwork and the grass and every other bloody hidey hole there is to have a crack around Phillip Island. So what are your thoughts on that?
Mate, thankfully, I think there's a bit more racing room at the island. So
exactly.
Hopefully it'll be a little bit less argy-bargy, but obviously, Phillip Island's a track that, I'm assuming that everyone that races these knows the track, knows how to race around it, so I'd assume it's probably going to be a little bit, I guess cleaner than tonight, you could say. There's going to be less panel bashing and whatnot, so, I'm looking forward to it.
And there's a chance
All right,
through that back part from Lukey Heights on to get away a little bit where the draft won't help the guy behind quite so much. But on the main straight, if you're within that 1.2, 1.3, you'll be right on the bumper coming into turn 1 and 2.
Absolutely. Dutchy, thanks very much for dropping on by to have a chat to us, mate. We appreciate that. I just realised too, to Grant Gill and Liam Banks, you know how we have, Daniel Criasar and I at least, have started referring to Matthew Dench as the Dench mark rather than the benchmark. Well, the same can be applied here, the Dutch mark tonight.
That sounds a bit like what you'd find in your underwear, though.
Yeah,
That's true, and don't worry. After a few of those moments tonight, it's probably a valid point. But in saying all of that, before we get into any other shady sort of territory, Dutchy, thanks for stopping on by to have a chat to us, mate. Go off.
No worries. Thanks, boys. Have a good night.
Brilliant stuff. There are the results, the provisional results from earlier this evening. Of course, we know Greg Favel's going to cop a 15-second penalty pending an appeal. And I think he might have a case to appeal, actually, considering that Sagassa wasn't necessarily in complete control as they were coming through that corner. But Harrison, Merritt, Hammond, Briggs, Wood, Green, Sagassa, Roffey, Coleman, Wood, Horton, Scholes, Snadden, Tegel, Fodiatis, Sharp, Colville and Hughes. Now, just having a look here, Jamie Budd's joined us from Race Control, and I'm glad that Jamie's jumped on in, but he's actually not in Race Control tonight. I believe I saw a comment there earlier suggesting that he's actually checking in somewhere west of the Blue Mountains. Is that right, Jamie? Good evening to you.
You would be completely right there, Zach. I am currently on top of the mountain. It continues and enjoying some excellent Super 2 racing, getting prepared for the weekend.
Shall I get the 7-second delay ready?
You're at the wrong racetrack. You should have been at Monza. Have you ever said anything as incredible as that?
Oh, mate, do you know what? Pretty happy not to be in Race Control tonight. It was a bit hectic, but, mate, what a race. Absolutely killer. I had a bunch of the lads over on the campsite hanging around my phone and just absolutely loving every second.
Hello, boys on the mountain. Suleiman Park, isn't it?
I apologise in advance for the headache that I may have given them.
Oh, mate, they were loving it. They were all saying you're better than Mark Scaife, mate. So, you know.
To be fair, listening to paint dry is better than listening to Scaife.
And to be fair, those blokes are 10 sheets to the wind as well.
Yes, it definitely is.
So they're speaking the truth, surely. And probably a few I love yous in amongst that as well.
Very much so.
You blokes are far too kind, but while we got you, Jamie, obviously we're going to miss having you in Race Control, mate, but you must be looking forward to the week ahead up there. Who are you tipping on Sunday? And can I just say, as I throw to you, the best of luck to my mate from Fernvale, just a hop, skip and a jump from Ipswich, Ryan Casher, who's lining up and going for championship glory in the Toyota 86s this weekend there on the mountain as well.
You know what? I think it's a bit too early to be picking winners at this point. I think a practice would be good, but who can really go past Red Bull at this point? Be nice for him not to win. Yeah, I think this race is going to be really interesting this weekend. No more compulsory pit stops. Bigger fuel tank, longer fuel, better fuel mileage, and strategy is going to be balls to the wall. So I reckon it's going to be a very interesting race.
Far more flammable with those bigger fuel tanks as well. So
that's right.
What could possibly
exactly.
go wrong?
Yes, indeed.
And I think the other thing as well. I think the other thing as well is a lot of interest will be in what the lap times are comparative to the old gen cars as well. And from an outsider looking in standpoint, someone that won't necessarily be checking in and out throughout the course of the weekend, that is the only thing from a statistical standpoint that I like researching on a weekend like this. Hey, Jamie, thanks for stopping on by, mate. Hang on there because I've got Stephen Varga standing by and Chris Stark as well. And I need to get to them before we get to GT3, which, Grant, you might want to hop, skip and a jump over to the new service so that we can get that on air in time. Stephen Varga, am I to assume that you're joining us from the Super 3 server?
I am correct.
How'd that all go, please, mate? Because obviously we had our hands full with Super 2.
It was a good race. Had Anthony Visma. I was following him basically for the majority of the race. He had a bit less aero with his car, so he managed to get past me, but I managed to get him in the pits. And after that I thought, geez, maybe I've put a little less fuel in than I needed to. Maybe I needed more fuel. No, I crossed the line with 0.3 of the leader left, so that was all I needed.
Plenty.
That's another definition of centimetre perfect for you. Very nicely done.
Millimetre. Milliliter.
So well done on that. Congratulations. Great result. Is it a little bit less hairy and hectic than having a full track like you did at Hockenheim last week?
I didn't do Hockenheim last week, hence that's why I'm in Super 3 this week. I missed out on the
Congratulations. You're
server.
probably going to get promoted next week.
Possibly we'll wait and see what happens.
Thoughts on Phillip Island, because that's the next stop, mate. Obviously another high-speed circuit, but a little bit different to Monza.
Yeah, favourite track that. So really looking forward to it, and hopefully I can do just as well there as I did tonight, but probably not. But I still like it.
Fingers crossed. We'll wait and see. All the best for the week ahead. What else are you racing on our servers this week, please?
Just this, really. I might do GT3, but probably not.
All right. Good luck for the rest of the week. Hopefully we'll see you get promoted to Super 2 at some point, and then we look forward to watching you on broadcast as the season goes on.
Thanks for having us.
Zach, the plan is...
There he is, Stephen Varga, and thanks for sticking on by too, mate, and waiting around, because there was a fair bit to pick apart with the other Super 2 drivers, so I'm glad you were able to hang back and have a chat to us. Go, Grant.
Yeah, the plan is, of course, whilst we are in split leagues, then we'll endeavour to pop down to AM Split on occasions as well, as much as we do with the GT3s.
Okay, very nicely done. I'm looking forward to getting that broadcast memo in my inbox at some point so that I get the full breakdown of what's what and when and where and how. Liam Banks, I'll get to you in just a moment. Chris Stark, welcome in. It says here, Chris Stark started 12th, finished 20th. What happened, please?
Yeah, what do you say? Not a good start. Took off a black Jack Daniels car. I think it was Dave Seddon. He came across off the start. Just tapped my wheel, bent the steering a little bit, but the car was a bit of a dog after that. Then in Lesbos 1, I got someone down the inside of me, and they spun me, which dropped me down back of the field. And then again, I was racing with Matt Schmidtke, and he went really deep, and I went underneath him, but he lost it on the sand. Came back across, and we both got fired into the wall, so that was the end of that.
Frustrating, unfortunately, for you, mate.
It was, but...
nice to see you back on a broadcast race, and nice to see you back in the car, but yeah, it's a little bit frustrating that you had pace, you started 12th, every potential to move forward, and unfortunately it just went up in smoke.
Yeah, my teammate struggled as well. He got off the start, and his car was an absolute dog for the first lap, and I think he punted Nick at the Parabolica. He just could not get the car to handle or come online. It was just an absolute dog.
Talk to me about Phillip Island next week, mate. Everyone else is looking forward to it. How do you feel?
Yeah, I like Phillip Island. Just getting the set right there, and depends what the track temperature is. If it's going to be Melbourne temperature, it should be nice. But yeah, I like Phillip Island. Like you said, I imagine that every man that isn't racing tonight that is eligible to jump in Super 3 will be there.
Absolutely. And as far as the rest of it's concerned, mate, what else is happening? What else are you going to race this season?
It's hard because of my shift work. Mondays, it seems to be the one day that I'm always home in the evening, so it's good to commit to this season. I think I'll miss one round of this because of shift work, and unless I go a bit sick.
In other words, you've got to make every other post a winner after not having the best result tonight. In saying that, mate, running short for time here. We're getting ready to rock and roll with the GT3 race over 60 minutes. They're about 2.5 minutes done from their qualifying session. I've just got some stats and data coming in from Monza as we speak. Nice to catch up with you, mate. Thanks very much for stopping by, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Not that Grant did a bad job last week, but it's good to have you back in the broadcast.
Thanks.
You did a good job.
Thanks.
It's good. It's good to be back. In saying that, though, I have got a few more nights off essentially coming up in the weeks ahead. A trip to Perth and a trip back to Ipswich and whatever else is going on. But no, nice to be back on a Monday night. It felt a little bit actually abnormal, a little bit weird not being here for the opening night of a term. It's the first time that's happened in a long, long time. Good on you, mate. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
And since we are talking about me being back in the booth, let's just line up and have another crack, shall we? Because I just wanted to tidy something up there that I mentioned earlier, Liam Banks and Grant Gill, for the benefit of those tuning in from further afield. Anybody that tuned into our coverage of the GSRC Enduro yesterday, and you're welcome that I was able to cover that for you, Banksy, as well. But you will know that we did it to death yesterday, that Australia's gone from being in 3 different time zones to 5, may as well be 1,000. So for those of you further afield, that progressive and civilised concept known as daylight saving kicked in yesterday in all the eastern states and South Australia, with the exception of Queensland. The Northern Territory and WA also don't observe it, but they're in different different jurisdictions anyway, so it doesn't necessarily matter. For Queensland, it makes no logical sense. 112? 112 years Queensland wound the clock back on Sunday morning as everyone wound theirs an hour forward. So for those, as I said, for poor old Antonio tuning in from New York, what was a rather civil 5:30 a.m. broadcast start time was now 4:30 a.m. and it'll be 3:30 a.m. in a couple of weeks' time when the USA daylight saving finishes. But yes, I live in a part of the world known as Queensland that doesn't believe in the concept and thinks that the sun's better off being up at 4:30 a.m. in the morning. And it results in all sorts of carnage and chaos, not least for those of us that work in Queensland on Queensland time for some aspects of life and then work for New South Wales and Victorian broadcast times for things like the Gentleman Sim Racing Clubs. So what do you do? But yes, a very bad weekend for Queensland because they've been left an hour behind. They've lost all the footy and they're stuck an hour behind for 27 weeks. At least the only consolation for Brisbane was as they flew back in to Queensland today, they had an extra hour to think about where it went wrong last night. Anyway, let's press on. How's your bingo card going, Grant?
Chock-a-block.
Good.
Yep.
Matty Dench, 68 points, leads this championship at the moment from the absent Jordan Malcolm, who's checking in from Mount Panorama. Matt Distill on 50 points. Glenn Arnott, Jack Jackson, Oscar Glissett, Alan Holgerson, Simon Cox, Thomas Martin, and Wayne Hewitt, the top 10 at the moment. In an eclectic mix of cars, Ferrari dominate the top 10, as you can see there. But we've also got BMWs, Porsches, Mercs in the grid here. It's really good to see. Yeah, so Merc, Ferrari, BMW, Porsche, and it looks like only those four manufacturers are getting a Guernsey in the GT3 Pro Split at the moment. No McLaren, no Lambo. Okay, but not on the grid tonight. No Audi and no Ford. So as we have a look at the AM split, Schroeder on top in the McLaren. So there's where the McLaren's buggered off to. Mitch McIntyre, Darren Johnston, Sean Rees, Aidan Schultz, the top five there at the moment after the opening round, which was held last week at... Oh, I'm disappointed I wasn't here now. Nick Photiadis is world favourite. Sebring International. Now we go to Monza for another 60-minute race and then, of course, get stuck into some sprint racing a little bit later on in the season and a 90-minute coming up from Road America as well, which, if you were tuning in yesterday, if not, go back and watch it on tape and bring your notepad with you. Matt Dench talked everybody through a lap of Road America yesterday, and we're going there for a 90-minute race in a couple of weeks' time. It may serve you well to have listened to the Master talk you through a lap of Road America. 23 and a half minutes gone in this qualifying session, or actually 21 and 3/4 because the clock's now moving twice as fast. 20-minute qualifying session done and dusted. Surprise, surprise, Matt Dench is on top. There are the circuit and track conditions from Monza. Let's have a look at them as they update now as we go into the race server. And I'll also have a look at the grid at this point in time and get a tip from Liam Banks. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, clock moving twice as fast as it would in the real world. We are sitting on October 1, 2023. Still daylight saving in Europe at this point. Partly cloudy, 26 degrees the on-track temperature, 20 the ambient, and 28 kilometre an hour winds. So very strong winds at this point in time. We are broadcasting to you live and exclusive and free on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across just Facebook tonight. Normally Twitch and YouTube as well, but unfortunately both of them down for the counts. Unfortunately, like I say, Spuds. Knockout. Knockout, the music festival gave Knockout a whole new meaning yesterday because apparently 2 people didn't come out of there. That's another story. Anyway, let's continue on. Waste options, Orbit Australia, Login Systems, Play One Sim Gear, Lobsy Racing, M-Wave Australia, and Flash Graphics are who we're here for. They're responsible for the fact that we continue to do what we do on a Monday night and a Wednesday night and a Thursday night as well. We couldn't do it without them, and we thank them for their ongoing support, not just the club, but the broadcasts as well. Righto, great. Let's have a look at that grid, please, because here it is for round 2. Night 1 of week 2 of term 4, October 2, 2023. The long weekend for many parts of the country. Matt Dench and Simon Cox, the front row. Twitch is now working, we're being told. Thank you very much, Lee. So it's just Facebook and Twitch. It's not YouTube. Richard Mitchum and Wayne Hewitt, the second row. Good to see a plethora of Ferraris in this field at the home of the Tifosi. Matt Distill and Jared Knight, exactly. Daniel Birchnell, Guy Leach, Jake Jackson, and Jonathan Hoop at the top 10. Was that too soon about the Knockout Festival? Probably. David Johnson and John Merritt, the 6th row, 7th row, Glenn Arnott and Nick Wood. 8th row, Daniel Correa, Sarah and Stephen Gallacher. 9th row, Ben Woods, Dave Riddell. 10th row, Adam Chiplin and Daniel Hill. 11th row is going to be Rob Hill and Martin Carew. 12th row, Leith McClymont and Alex Schmidt. 13th row, Tim Fuge and Stephen Brooks. 14th row, Reece Dickerson and Greg Brooks. 15th row, Dean Eldridge and Adam Holland.
Nice to see.
16th row, Sam Chapman and Stuart Thompson and
But wait, there's more. Nice to see Daniel.
Matty Scholes from the rear of the grid. Grant, I'll get a tip from you and a tip from Liam Banks as well.
All right. I was just going to say it's nice to have Daniel Creasar having a run out. So
absolutely.
I'm going to go right out on a limb here and say Dench.
Oh, so brave.
Brave and bold. I like it, Liam.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to look past Dench, but I want to see how far Sam Chapman can go up the field. He's been lightning quick in the GT4s, and a few laps in the GT3s, and I can see him picking up his pace a lot and making a few positions as he goes.
Dave Dench, Team Dench, actually supporting Matt tonight, tuning in as they usually do from the Central West. We're ready to rock and roll again with the Waste Options GT3 series here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Race 2 of the campaign. It's 1 hour long. It's standard procedure. It has been on a Monday night for the longest time. Main course on a public holiday for most of you and the start of a working week for the rest of you. Let's get ready to rock and roll. Remembering, of course, some parts of the country are still in school holiday mode. Others are not. No holiday, no mucking around for Matty Dench. Because when you see green, you can go racing. He hits the gas and gets going and leaves Simon Cox in the lurch. Because down on the inside comes Richard Mitchum. Richard Mitchum saw the opportunity to bolt with Dench and capitalised to displaces Cox on the run of turn one. Greenly through. Unfortunately, they're at snail's pace, similar to the Bruce Highway at the first chicane, but at least they're getting through unscathed.
Just need Ipswich Council now, Zach, and I've got the card full.
Okay, I'll work it in for you in the next couple of moments as they make their way down to the first of the chicanes. Sorry, the second of the chicanes, the end of the first sector, as they make their way around. It's been a good start
now
on the platform, the GSRC,
for
Matt Dench and Richard Mitchum.
Yeah, in your absence last week, the Ferraris, they're quick enough, but Matt was saying they're made out of paper. So you collect any of these baguette curves, the sausage curves, call them what you will. We may well see some bumper bars and carbon fibre flying off these. We're hoping maybe the last patch that came through might have converted them into maybe a cellulose starch, a little bit stronger than paper, but we'll see how that goes. They're certainly quick enough that a good representation of them. I'll just pop up the car logos there for us to see.
Yeah, only 4 different manufacturers in the field tonight, Liam Banks, and as you can see, it is a smorgasbord of Ferraris and a sprinkling of everything else. 4 different manufacturers in the top 10 at the moment. 5 of them Ferraris. You got 2, 3 Bimmers, a Porsche and a Merc as they complete the first lap. 1 lap down, 1:46.653, the time for Matt Dench. So the GT car's marginally quicker around here on outright lap speed than the supercars. Richard Mitchum slots into second spot, remembering they were the legacy supercars, of course. Whoa, geez, I tell you what, a couple of hairy moments coming down the main straight, people working out when to jump out of the draft and go for it, remembering that they've also got to take into consideration braking markers as well as they make their way round on lap number 2. So a good start for Denchy, unsurprisingly, yet he's only half a second clear of Richard Mitchum. And Banksy, we're probably going to see something similar play out here to what we saw in the supercars, except we will have 2 splash and dashes, not 1. So expect the draft, the toe, the slipstream to be very difficult to break here.
Yeah, I expect what you're going to see is those larger gaps are going to form where drivers make mistakes rather than it being for outright pace just because the slipstream, as you mentioned, is so powerful. Jake Jackson's evidently come unstuck because he's plummeting down the field. Jonathan Hooper was an early retirement as well. Sam Chapman's up 5 places in 26th, not the biggest mover though. That would be Matthew Scholes behind him, who's up 6. So a couple of drivers have come unstuck on this first lap, but other than that, everybody else is running within a second of the car ahead. And we're about to see what happens to Jake Jackson. So he's into Lesmo, the second Lesmo.
Yeah.
And how many times have we seen that across a broad range of categories? Ending up on the inside of Lesmo 2, and then really hard to get it turned around and not end up in the path of the other cars, particularly if you've got your traction control turned on and you can't get the rear wheel spinning to get yourself pirouetting nicely like a ballerina. Looks like Rob Hill's the next to have come unstuck. He's tumbling down the order, as is Daniel Hill. So I hope those two haven't had contact with each other. We'll have to wait and see.
That'd be an awkward. That would be an awkward post-race dinner conversation, wouldn't it? There they are, both limping to the outside at the final corner. Down the main straight we go. Bit of weaving going on from, I think that might have been Thomas Martin further back. It certainly looked like the livery he was running yesterday. Oh, no.
Just responding to the
Daniel
car
Hill.
in front. Yeah.
Matty Dench's falling down. Matty Dench's down to fifth.
No.
No. Just a timing glitch. Thankfully.
Richard Mitchum has
Don't give us a heart attack like that.
He has set the fastest lap of the race of a 1:47. Richard Mitchum does.
Yeah, I'm going to say.
1:47.45. And I will draw your attention to the lack of a.
Whoa! Car off in the background.
Daniel Caressa.
Yeah, the lack of a pulse.
Off and into the wall.
Let's see what we've got with Daniel.
John Merritt just running an all-out.
I don't think
flaming red livery.
Yeah, they don't have a new livery for that vehicle yet, I'd say.
No.
Here's Daniel.
They'll be working on it this week, I would imagine.
Yep. What's
a hot red?
Does he get collected by that car who just left the server? No, he
does it all on his own and clouts the Armco on the way through. Right now, quickly jumping in here. I don't normally get the chance to do this these days, but we're going around the grounds, boys. And I didn't get a chance to do this whilst we were in the intermission there because there were too many bloody people to talk to, which is a good thing. It's never a bad problem to have. So now we are. Thank you to the comment there, and Grant can have a look at that. At this point in time, here we are thinking that we're there on the ground at Monza with the ambience coming through, but apparently it's not. We'll work on that. Apologies for a couple of the tech issues we've had tonight, ladies and gentlemen. In the meantime, the Australian women taking on the West Indies women in the second of the T20 Internationals at the North Sydney Oval. West Indies innings about to start. In fact, their target is 213. Australia have posted 6 for 212. The talking point, Phoebe Litchfield, posting an 18-ball half century. And the Aussies putting on, after being 2 for 7, posting 6 for 212, and 88 of those runs came in the last 5 overs. So the girls got on a charge. They already lead the series 1-0. They can wrap it up tonight. And, of course, the one-day start on Sunday. Big day Sunday because Australia and the West Indies women in the day, India and Australia men Cricket World Cup in the night from India. So a big day on Sunday. There is Dean Eldridge in 20th place at the moment. Hello, Grant. What?
Did you say they're in North Sydney?
North Sydney Oval tonight, yes. Well, the only reason that you didn't go along to the game is because you were here working with us, mate, and we apologise for holding up on a Monday night.
Well, someone's got to give Adam a little bit of time off the chain.
Otherwise engaged. Grant Gill would have gone to North Sydney Oval, right? They had a lovely night out on the Spectator Hill there with another 5,000-6,000 people. The crowds of the women's sporting fixtures of late have been absolutely phenomenal. Knock-on effect, absolutely, of the success and the fanfare of the FIFA Women's World Cup. Down onto the main straight we go. 4 laps gone at Monza. Matt Dench is leading the way. Banksy, I feel sorry for Banksy. He always struggles to get a word in when you and I are in the commentary box. Banksy, let's have a look at this because so far so good. The biggest move is Sam Chapman and Dean Eldridge. You said to keep an eye out for Sam Chapman. He hasn't let you down. Already up 14 spots, mate.
Yes, for the good job. Although I'd like to know how many of those are overtakes versus just inheriting from other people's mistakes, because Scholes behind him's up 13 spots, Aldridge is up 11, Thompson's up 10, and we've got a long list of drivers who are down multiple positions from the start, and they include the 2 Hills who we saw earlier, Jake Jackson, Tim Fuge, Greg Brooks, Daniel Correa, who we saw pummeling the barrier. Stephen Galich is a recent one who's just tumbled down the order. Reese Dickerson's down as well, as is Lee from Michelmont. Martin Carew and Jonathan Hooper. Carew and Hooper looking like they may be early retirement. So this field of 33 quickly whittling down, if not in absolute numbers, in terms of cars that are looking competitive. Just saw another driver, not like another driver hopping around my timing screens, but I think that might be just a glitch. And I'm actually fairly happy to have a relatively light amount of talking, because I've barely spoken at all the last couple of weeks. I've been in Japan, and well, I don't speak English. It's not been too much use to me the last couple of weeks. So it's weird to be throwing out so many words at once.
How was Japan and how was Suzuka, please?
It was phenomenal. I had a view of the S's. You can really see the McLarens and the Red Bulls, just another league for the S's, even compared to the Mercedes and the Ferrari. Fantastic race to be at, and wonderful to be there for Oscar's first podium. If you'd have said it completely, who's that?
Oh,
Thompson into the wall. I wonder if he's had contact.
A big one.
I wouldn't be surprised, because they were 0.0 something between them, so we'll have a look.
That car is going nowhere but the back of the garage. It's going on the tow rope to pit lane, and that will be a fast repair chewed up.
Yep.
It was contact, but it was Thompson on the car in front. And Thompson, far worse for wear. And he's now trying to limp the thing home, and he's actually going to give up. He'll be on the tow rope and into pit lane. I dare say that'll be not done. I mean, he can... no, he's just parked up. He's just like he could have taken a fast repair and got back out there, but he's said, no, I've had enough of this garbage. I'm gone.
3 down.
Greg Brooks and Reese Dickerson, both in pit lane. Leith McClymont's already been there. Greg Brooks rejoins the race on 29th position on lap number 6 of proceedings. McClymont off the road going into the final corner, but gathers it up and resumes. He's the last of the runners at the moment. Jonathan Hooper retired hurt in the opening lap. Martin Carew retired at the start of lap 4. And Stuart Thompson at the end of lap 4. So we've lost 3 already. Gentlemen, attrition already playing its part in round 2 of the Waste Options GT3 series.
That's that sort of track, isn't it, Zach and Liam?
Absolutely.
Hard braking, hard throttling, and it's just a recipe for disaster all through. And then those very, very tight chicanes that bring the car behind you with a big draft rider into play.
Yeah, it's a perfect accumulation of a whole host of factors that just lead to attrition being a factor. As you mentioned, a huge slipstream, meaning that you can never get away from other cars. You're constantly going wheel to wheel. But then you combine that with the fact, and this is the reason you have such a big slipstream, is that there's such long straights after pretty much every corner. Even when it's not a straight, it's a pseudo straight after the corner. Like here, out of the chicane, you've got this right-hander, but nobody cares about it, right? It's not a real corner. No. So out of every corner, the longer the straight, the more time you lose if you get your exit wrong, which means you can't afford to take your foot off the gas or get foot off the pedal and just allow an extra tenth, give yourself a little leeway, delay getting on the throttle a bit, because you lose so much time down the straight. You basically have to push 100% for the entire race, and that leads to attrition. Combine that with the fact you're always wheel to wheel, and it's no surprise that we've seen so many cars come unstuck. And I think it's only now the top 20 that are running without mistakes.
Oh, elbows out here. Geez, the battle for 15th is on in earnest at the moment. Adam Chiplin is the car in 15th place. He's chasing Derek Riddell, and Riddell just keeping him at bay for the moment.
And
Action aplenty, battles aplenty at Monza. Have a look at this further back. Daniel Hill forced to yield on the inside.
And Liam,
Densley, Mitchum, Hewitt, Cox, and Knight the top 5 at the moment. Grant Gill.
Yeah, we know the GT3s generate most of their grip from the downforce. The big slow stops into a lot of these corners means you have to have the car set up really pliant and pliable, so that it has lots of mechanical grip as well, because as soon as you get into these chicanes, your big wings are doing nothing for you. They're just looking good as you get into those spots. So definitely setup is pretty critical.
Yeah, absolutely. And,
Yeah.
and you raise a really good point. This is a open setup series. So a lot of these drivers will be earning their pace with the work they put in before the race. Others, they'll just pick up a preset series or a setup shot from a friend or even just run the baseline setup. And they will be trying to make their pace just through pure driving gains. And there's only so high you can get when you do that, because those that can do that and run their own setup that's perfect to track, they're just always going to be ahead.
Yeah, and week one of GT3s last week, Matty Dench just loaded up a setup for every car, one of his good setups. Well, I imagine it was one of his good ones, for every car. So he's into a very caring and sharing phase at the moment, doing talk rounds of laps and loading up setups. So what a bonus for the other guys who are in the club. Oh, have a
Well,
look
he's a
up
real
front.
racer, isn't he? He wants a challenge. As much as he said that he prefers the races where he starts up front and he finishes up front, having never really got to the lead compared to the reverse grid races that we see in the sprints. It's quite evident in the way that he shares this information openly that he does want to be challenged across the season. He wants to have to fight for those victories. He wants to be fighting for the podium positions, and he knows there's a few drivers that the close just haven't been able to make that step. Richard Mitchum one of the closest though, and with the toe around here, he's sticking with well within 3/4 of a second. And it'll be interesting to see if there's any difference in the pit stop times, because how often have we seen what looks like a good battle brewing, and then we find out Dench has been able to save an extra lap of fuel or save a few seconds in the pit stops through going a couple of Ks above the limiter, or just stopping for less time because he has saved that fuel.
Again, last week he was not in fuel saving mode. It appeared not to be fuel saving mode at all. Practically every sector he set was a green sector through the entirety of the race. So he just went at it. He knew there was no point saving much in the way of fuel.
No.
But I'd say we're waiting for what's the equivalent, bench equivalent of hammer time, because I reckon as soon as pit stops start approaching, we might see him stretch the gap or go an extra lap and set a fastest lap at that point.
Indeed. I'm just having a look ahead, boys. Laguna Seca next week for sprint racing. Jerez the week after for sprint racing. The week that I go to Perth, I go on the Wednesday. We commentate on the Monday, of course. We go to Road America, and then straight off the plane and straight back to Cessnock from Sydney for Interlagos. I cannot wait. I was humming and ahhing as to whether I was going to be available on that Monday night when I got back from Perth, and depending upon how the voice box held up after the Nationals. But
apparently you will
knowing it's Interlagos, knowing it's a 60-minute race, oh yeah, I'll be here. I'll bloody well burn the candle at both ends to be here for Interlagos.
And
it always produces a beauty. Yeah, absolutely. Dench, Mitchum, Hewitt, Cox and Knight, the top five. Ferrari and BMW dominate the top seven. The first of the Porsches is 8th through Guy Leach. The first of the Mercs is now Jake Jackson, sitting down in 19th place. So if you're a Ferrari fan, a BMW fan, and a Porsche fan, you're very happy. But there is only one Porsche. There is only one Porsche in the top 19. It's in the hands of Guy Leach at the moment. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 BMWs. One Porsche, so that means there is 10 Ferraris in the top 20 at the moment, and 2 Mercedes cars as well. Jake Jackson and Matty Scholes, 19th and 20th. Scholes up 13 spots, again a big mover. Sam Chapman, 17th, also a big mover. Adam Chiplin, continuing his duel here at the moment, this time with Alex Schmidt, having seen Dave Riddell skip on up the road by a couple of seconds. And this is one of those racetracks, boys, where we're not going to have any shortage of things to talk about. No problems filling the time. It got a little bit stale in parts yesterday in the GSRC Enduro, of course, over 4 hours with only 20 cars around a 6.5 kilometre circuit. But still, a great race there. And we're getting another one here. We're getting plenty of bang for our buck this week on the platforms of the GSRC.
And Zach, just to further your schedule, what's coming up? Tonight, of course, we're on the Pro Split. Next week it's sprints, so it's AM followed by Pro. We'll do both servers. Same the following week again at Jerez. And then the Road America will be the AM split. and Interlagos is looking like the AM split again as well. I hope you're enjoying that snack that you're shoveling in your face while you've got.
Well, let's be honest, the AM split boys have actually thrown up some good racing this year.
Indeed, and of course we've got a couple of the boys from AM Split last season who did very, very well, and they've joined us up here,
including Daniel Correa-Sarr, it's important to note.
Indeed. So,
and no, that wasn't an automatic promotion for the work that he's doing on Wednesday and Thursday in the broadcast booth either, ladies and gentlemen. Down the inside, Daniel Birchnell displaced. Matt still moves into 6th place.
Lovely work there. Daniel Hill and Scholes having a good battle back here as well. Go, Liam.
And on that work that he's doing on Wednesday and Thursday, of course, last week we had our first taste of the new Wednesday and Thursday night offering. Of course, the GT4 for so long, the little brother to the GT3s, finally gets to go to big schools, getting its own primetime spot on a Thursday. And on a Wednesday even, and with the Radicals coming back and supporting it, how did that go?
It was well. I was racing in both of those, and the Radicals were pretty good. I'll just refresh my memory of where we actually were, but we were at Snetterton 200, and the racing was very nice. The GT4s around Indianapolis Road was little less than stellar. But maybe it was because GT4 drivers all had their big boy pants on and had to go for the 40 minutes rather than the 25. So interesting.
That's right. And Thursday night, Formula V didn't disappoint. Lacking in depth a little bit, but the racing was red hot at Oran Park. The Porsches produced a pretty good show as well. Depleted field, a little bit disappointed on field size with the Porsches, as I was at the back end of last season as well. Hopefully that'll improve as the season goes on. May have had something to do with the venue as well. Not everybody's favourite, but you got to be in it to win it. What was disappointing, in somewhat of a staggering revelation at the end of the opening round of the Porsches, boys, one M. Dench, not committed to the full Porsche campaign. Committed to GT3, but not Porsche. So, yes, he's looking for an 8-peat in Monday Night Motorsport circles and parlons. But he is openly inviting someone in, as we see Sam Chapman coming into pit lane to complete his first stop. He's openly offering someone the opportunity to step up to the plate and snatch the number one off him in Porsche circles.
Yeah, he's opened the door, certainly right there. But I forget when I was talking to Matthew last, but when we were talking about the Ferrari, it was last week. I was thinking, when did I last do a GT3 commentary? Yeah. And last week. And we were talking about cars, and he pledged some time ago to change cars each season because he was thinking of popping back into the Porsche this season, but thought no, and it was right up until entering the server pretty much that he hopped out of the McLaren into the Ferrari. And he said, and then next season's whatever it's to be, and then the Ford. And I said, and in those 2 years, or 2 seasons, you're hoping that they bring the new Ford in and get rid of the old one. And he said, oh, yes, absolutely.
Yep.
But he'd probably come out and do it in the old GTO, whatever it is, as well.
I was going to say as well, last Thursday night, it was interesting. Mitchum to pit lane, Cox to pit lane, Hewitt Knight also to pit lane. Dench continues on. Dench gets another lap out of the tank. What a surprise. We are so used to that by now. 21 and a half minutes into the race. We are 12 laps into the race. 1:47, the benchmark lap time at the moment. If I wind that back to a minute 45, that gives you 4 laps every 7 minutes, which gives you 32 and 56, and carry over a little bit to 33, 34 laps. So we're looking at that 33, 34 lap marker tonight, bearing in mind that you've also got 2 pit stops to factor into consideration. So if I was a gambling man, and I am, I'd say that's the Zaculator tonight, 33, 34, and we'll firm on a number a little bit closer to the checkered flag. Dench, the leader, doing it comfortably at the moment. The field will be cleansed once he stops by pit lane to collect some juice. at the end of this first stint, and it's been a very clean first stint as well. Should mention the Porsches were at bloody Interlagos on Thursday night, so I was a little bit surprised and disappointed that there wasn't a great field. But so it's clearly one of those things where commentators certainly like the circuit. We love the product, but varying factors and preference from drivers on what championships they contest and what they don't. School holidays, other factors, and maybe some disdain for the Interlagos circuit from within the inner sanctum, from within the cohort of drivers, were all contributing factors as to why we didn't have a huge field there last week.
There has been some discussion with the Formula V's field being a little low, that perhaps there's a lot of agreement that it could have something to do with the fact that this is such a bloody good season. Everyone's loving so many of the races, and we all have to, unlike the wonderful COVID days, we've all got to actually pick and choose how much of the time we spend on the sim and which are going to be our picks and chooses for the races that we're going to do. So they've certainly nailed it this time, the club, with making popular fields, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes leading forward. Oh, here we go, Jared Knight and Wayne Hewitt.
And they are side by side as well, mate, down the main straight. Knight has the advantage at the moment. Dench is the leader after the first round of pit stops.
Turns it in 5.5 seconds.
Not that we saw that coming at all. He was 2.1 seconds quicker through the pit lane transit, so that gives him a 2.1 second invoice on the next pit stop, comparative to everybody else. But in saying that, off goes Adam Chiplin, coming around onto the main straight. The reality of the situation is Dench has come out with a far greater profit than what he had going in Liam Banks.
Yeah, he certainly has. We said that. We've seen this from him time and time again, and he's managed to do it at Monza, keep the lead while saving more fuel than the cars behind. He's also just devastatingly fast through pit lane. He's really light on the brakes going into the pits. He often rides he doesn't ride the pit limiter. He stays off the pit limiter and gets himself an extra K or two down the lane. There, it's quite a long pit lane here in Monza as well. So all these things combined to give him the better. Well, just over two extra seconds, and that's put him outside the slipstream, which means we're about to see what Mitchum is made of. Whether he can put in the lap times to try and pull that back, or even just stick with the same pace as Denchi now that he's not getting the slipstream. And we'll have to wait until the second round of pit stops to find out whether Denchi's going to battle. But so far, it's not checkmate, but it's certainly check, isn't it? We saw one of the cars in the wall earlier, going all diagonal and acting like a bishop, and now Matty Dench is taking the position of queen and putting check on the other on the other colours king.
Not that there's anything wrong with that sort of thing, but
No,
Simon Cox sets fastest lap of the race, 1:47.06. Of interest, Matt, when Richard Mitchum went into the pits, he was, I think, within half a second of Matty Dench. Once he'd come out and settled back into pace, he was 39 seconds behind. So that's about what the loss to an ordinary driver would be. And then Matthew came out 5.4 seconds in the lead, so he'd made 5 seconds up through that process. But we can sort of consider about that 39 seconds as the amount of time lost for a pit stop.
Yes, if you're interested in any particular driver here tonight, take a look at that tower on your left-hand side, figure out where 39 seconds is, and that's how you can track where they're going to come out once the field has cleansed itself. If the driver you're supporting tonight, and I'm sure there's many of you supporting drivers live, then that's how you'll figure out where they're gonna feed back out once everybody has done their stops. And we're just watching here the battle for 19th position with Chiplin and Brooks. So Brooks in the Porsche, not nearly as many Porsches as we had last season, as everyone puts down their old toy now and picks up the new toy of the Ferrari. And that's going to be positioned to Chiplin. You do not hang it around the outside of Lesmo 1 unless you are wanting to taste some gravel.
Yeah, Brooks was just a little bit late on the first apex back there, and that set him up for the fall. So Brooks just slipped behind Daniel Hill right on his hammer now, but of course Chiplin had just had that off into the wall and jumped in and got a fast repair and is back travelling in 19th. Matthew Dench, fastest lap of the race, 46.77. Let's go 46, shall we?
Right. Yeah, and 15 laps gone already, gentlemen, as well, through 27 and 3/4 minutes. So that's going to get you to 16 by the time we get to about 29 and a half. 29 and a half times 2 is 59. So, yeah, we're looking at that 33 lap marker at the moment. And given what Grant was saying and Liam too about the 39-second transit, down pit lane, take a minute 20 off the clock, essentially, on 2 full pit stops. But then again, we don't necessarily get a full fuel second time round, so that number will fluctuate somewhat. Have a look at this, if you don't mind. The battle for 25th. Daniel Correa-Sara on the clawback through the field. Down the inside. Gets at least one of them, so very nicely done. Up in 25th. Got Tim Fuge for company. Got Dean Eldridge as well. They're trying to go with Stephen Brooks and Rob Hill. So it's a 5-way fight for those minor placings at the moment, starting with Rob Hill in 22nd place.
I think if that was Chris trying to go around the outside of Tim Fuge, not able to make it stick there. So Tim Fuge in the Twitchy Foot Racing, the neon green car. And then you've got Chile's trying to follow along at home. It's really hard to pick out the cars when there's so many cars that are the same color up and down the track. But in this battle, while we're following it, you can Correa, who are on board now. He's in the Side Hustle Racing entry. So that's this black car with the neon blue and purple or pink, however you want to describe it, highlights. And then ahead of him is the neon green car, Twitch Foot Racing, a nice distinctive livery from both those teams, a livery that we see all across the classes that we provide here at the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, thanks to all of our sponsors that you can see going across the top of it. They do a screen throughout this broadcast, and a whole host of new sponsors coming on board this season, which is fantastic to see. The likes of M-Wave coming on board, Orbix sticking around, Player One Sim here. They've been around for a little bit now. Yeah, welcome back.
Absolutely.
And there's another new one that I didn't know about until I saw the broadcast a little earlier today, who I'm sure will come on screen soon. I'm sure the two of you can explain how they've been. Yeah,
I'm going to leave this one to Grant Gill because I somewhat know, but Grant can elaborate. The good old Trent Lavis and Leipzig Racing coming on board. But I was going to say, whenever we welcome back a sponsor, we just need the theme tune to welcome back Cotter to come onto the Welcome back. If we could get through it without any sort of copyright infringements, we'd do it every day of the week.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Great to have new sponsors coming on board. M-Wave, I was learning yesterday afternoon after we got off air. That's linked to Daniel Correa-Sara, and of course, Leipzig Racing is our good mate Trent Lavis.
It is, and with M-Wave, they've given us a affiliate link. That if you're looking to purchase some equipment, computer equipment, they've got a lot of gaming stuff, but very good with CPUs, graphics cards, all that sort of thing. Then use the affiliate link, and some of that money will go back to the club. So that's how they're being involved at the moment. I think they might be just trying the waters there, and we can only hope for something further down the track. But certainly, if you're looking for anything specifically related to our sim racing game or the flight controller, flight simulators as well, that's when you go off to Neil Waters at Player One, and they will give you the red hot tip on, because Neil uses the gear and does a lot of very good videos, and I think they've got Josh Swino on board as a team driver now, so good to see.
And I'm eagerly awaiting a comment from Chris Whitaker to pull you up, Grant, and say it's not a game, because that seems to be what he does. But no, I'm with you. I knew exactly where you were going, but as soon as you said gaming, I was like, oh, hang on, someone's going to say it's not a game, because they're very antsy about that. They get very uptight about that. Some of our sim racers, there's no doubt about that.
And that's because it's sim.
Yeah, exactly.
Might I suggest some of them take themselves just a little bit too seriously at times? Hello,
I
Chris.
would imagine so. Yes. And CW is not one of those that takes himself terribly seriously at the best of times, but he does like taking the proverbial.
Nearly 8
32 and a
seconds,
half
boys.
minutes gone. And we are 18 laps into this race, and Matt Dench is opening up an enormous advantage here. An inch is as good as a mile around Monza. We saw that earlier in the supercars. If you could have, if you had an opportunity to break the toe and catch your breath and get some clear real estate and some space to breathe, would have been magnificent. But Matt Dench is making these guys look silly at the moment. He's opened up an 8-second advantage and just punched out the fastest lap of the race, 1:46.555. So, I mean, we talked about how tight the race was in Super 2 earlier for Player One Sim Gear, boys, but this one is turning into a canter very, very quickly. It just goes to show you how quickly it builds this advantage, Matt Dench, over the rest of the pack. Once he breaks that toe, once he breaks that draft and slipstream effect, and an inch is as good as a bloody mile here at Monza.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He, just does, what do we always say? Matty Dench doing Matty Dench things. But tell you what has been interesting is John Merritt's overtaken David Johnson about 3 or 4 times that I've seen on the thing. So I think he must be coming to terms with that Ferrari still. But David Johnson, welcome back to him as well. 12th spot. He took season 3 off. Season C, term 3, whatever we like to call
term
it.
3? Right, yeah, it was season 14, term 3, whatever. Yeah.
He likes to take a season off a year, and that was his season off. And looks like he hasn't got much in the way of ring rust, so doing a good job keeping John Merritt very, very honest. And they're just switched around from their starting positions of 11 and 12, now 12 and 11. But he's all over him, is David Johnson. So John might be picking up a couple of slowdowns here or there, or just coming to terms, as I said, with this Ferrari.
Yeah, David Johnson, very solid operator. Always good to see him out on track. Obviously, has done a lot behind the scenes, particularly on the enduro side for the club, and competes as well. And is a very strong competitor. That's why he's in the press play. And that's Stephen Brooks just losing out 2 positions. Tried to battle with, I think, Daniel Carriasar, and then losing out to Fuge and Brooks. So Carriasar somehow at some point has ended up at the front of that group, back ahead of Tim Fuge. And now we're seeing Fuge trying to defend from Eldridge. Apologies, Eldridge trying to defend from Fuge, and Fuge getting past the Ferrari.
Your pick of the night so far, Liam, up 15 spots is our Sam Chapman. Jake Jackson all over the back of him, so I'm not sure if he's just past him or if he's just coming under assault here. But up 15 spots, what a run.
What a run. And we were talking earlier about the affiliate link with N-Wave, and I'm thinking perhaps if you're maybe a producer of some kind, someone who puts some broadcasts on an old laptop that struggles when there's more than 20 cars, you may be looking at that link and thinking to use it. Not that I'm talking to Sam directly, but I'm just saying it. I've heard worse ideas. Anyway, once I've finished spending Sam's money for him, we can talk about the bill he's just paid to Jake Jackson. Jake Jackson fell down the order earlier on in an instant, if I remember correctly. That's why he's down 7 spots. But climbing back up the order and getting back past Sam Chapman, who's just learning his trade in the GT3. He's mastered the GT4s now, just about. He's been challenging for the title for a couple of seasons, and he's decided to make the step up to GT3 and see if he can hang out with the big boys. Already getting into pro split, and I dare say he'll be fairly happy with 17th. But I think you'll see his pace grow throughout the season as he gets used to the differences between GT4 and GT3, and it'd be interesting to get him into the commentary box later in the season to see, particularly if he does pick up speed, to discuss how he's gone about that, because he's definitely been improving. It just shows how hard that step up is, because this is a guy that now is routinely one of the fastest guys in the GT4, mixing it with the likes of Jared Knight, who's up in 4th place, but steps up to GT3 and he's down in 17th. So that tells you what the difference in technique needed between the GT4 and the GT3s, and also potentially the difference in class in each field. And now we're heading back to Simon Cox. Simon Cox, one of the guys who on occasions is able to nick a pole position or even a victory from Matty Dench. Not going to be able to do it tonight, but he's only 2 seconds behind Richard Mitchum.
Mitchum must have had a moment. I'm just seeing there he's gone from quite a big gap the previous lap back to just this 2 seconds. So I think Mitchum might have had a moment.
I think you may be right. We'll have to see if we can see exactly what happened there. But I was just looking like he's got Simon Cox has got Jared Knight within quarter of a second behind. And Jared Knight, another driver who we've seen occasionally take the odd pole position or victory away from Matty Dench when he's absolutely on it. And Jared Knight, another one of those contenders in the GT4 season after season, whenever he does race in that championship. And now he's launched to the inside of Richard Mitchum. Is this going to be moved done into the parabolic? It looks like it is. Mitchum might be able to come back through. Oh, he's gone wide. Wide. All on the green stuff on the outside, and there's not much grip out there. You can't always maintain full throttle when you're getting over that. I'm not sure exactly how it is in these cars, but it looked a little bit messy, and now they're going side by side into the first chicane. That's Mitchum on the inside, Knight on the outside. Knight in the blue.
No, it's Knight and Cox. It's Knight and Cox. And Cox has been relegated to fourth. Sorry, Liam Banks. And that is Jared Knight getting up into third. We've got two Bimmers in the three now. Dench has punched at another fastest lap. 1:46.43. Catch me if you can. 11.75 the margin. We're on lap 22. That was phenomenal stuff from Jared Knight and also from Simon Cox. Magnificent side-by-side, door handle to door handle stuff without making contact. Leith McClymont remains in pit lane, has been there for 6.25 minutes. We've had just the three retirements beyond that, they being Stuart Thompson, Martin Crew and Jonathan Hooper. And if we do go 33 laps, gentlemen, we need to get to 25 to be classified. So that's important to note with Leith McClymont having been in pit lane for the better part of 4 laps now, and Sam Chapman there completing his second compulsory stop. Everyone in the top 26 yet to complete their second splash and dash, but they can't be too far away. We're on lap 22.
The timing data's playing some games with us. Matty just started dropping down the field again through 5th and 6th, and I thought, oh no, what's happened here? But no, he's fine. 12.25 second lead, just going about his business. Let's see what his lap times are like. The only way I can show him is in relation to the car behind. And you can see that lap 20, Mitchum dropped 1.6 seconds, so that's where he had a bit of a moment. Here's Sam Chapman with Matthew Dench. Oh, that'll ruin your floor. And that was Sam Chapman having a run, having just got out of the pits. Simon Cox has gone into the pits with Glenn Arnott. And Jake Jackson, I think, has just popped out as well.
Yeah, I think Chapman just did the racing equivalent of stepping out onto a zebra crossing, only to realise that the car coming's not going to stop, and frantically trying to get out of the way as he realised his mistake of coming out in front of a determined Matty Dench. And good on him doing everything he could there not to get involved in battle for the lead. Not that it would have affected anything had he held up Denchy for a second or two. Such is the commanding lead that Denchy has got now, 12.7 seconds over Richard Mitchum. That was only 5 when they came out of the pits, so he has over doubled that across the length of this stint. That is absolutely monstrous race pace from Denchy. Once again, another league to every other car in this series.
Yeah, well done to him. Of course, Sam would have been being lapped, so he would have had blue flags all over the place. But he, as you said, bit the bullet and fell on his sword, hopped over those curbs, and let Matthew through on his merry way.
And now we're crossing over to look at how one of our other broadcast friends has gone. Daniel Correa, he's in 17th down to had a very consistent race.
Now
we just saw Matty Dench diving into the pits, which might be earlier than the cars behind.
No, not surprising at all, because he did short fuel on that opening stint compared to most of those around him, to the tune of about 2.25 seconds. Now that's going to allow Richard Mitchum to lead a lap of the race. Across the line we go. Wayne Hewitt second. Dench will be on his way in a moment. Distill, Birchnell Continue on for another lap. Jared Knight parks up. Nick Wood and Guy Leach also splashing and dashing on this lap. So too David Johnson and John Merritt. Biggest move of the race is Alex Schmidt up 12 spots into 12th place at the moment, but field not yet properly cleansed. So we'll get a better idea of who's done what, where, and why, and how before the checkered flag falls here at Monza. 10 positions gained for Dean Eldridge. Some taking tyres, some not. Rick Wood opting for a little bit of fresh rubber for the back the back third of this race. 17.5 minutes to go. Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms. The Gentleman Sim Racing Club Waste Options GT3. Nice to have you along for the ride. Pit lane, a very busy place at the moment, Liam Banks.
Yeah, it is. As we expected, all the drivers coming in for the second stops. But basically from that 40-minute mark up to maybe around a 45-minute mark for those that have done a lot of fuel saving, the likes of Mitchum, Hewitt, Distill, Birchnell look like they're going to be closer to 45 than they are to 40. It's not going to be enough for Mitchum to take the battle to Denchi, even with this overlap where he's now running with a car light as it's going to be all race, whereas Denchi has a heavy, cumbersome car to deal with. He's going to gain a few of those seconds back that is lost to Denchi over the stint, but there's no way he's going to be able to gain 12 seconds, and it'll be interesting to see what his transit time is in pit lane at the end of it. Just to wrap on that, Denchi doing 17.18 seconds in the pit lane that time round, compared to only about 15 point something in the first round of stops. So that shows you the difference in fuel that he took on in stint 1 compared to stint 2. Interesting to note when Hewitt going around again. So Mitchell, Distill, and Birchnell, they're all coming into the pit. So we're going to see just about how that top 5 is going to look once everybody is on the same amount of pit stops remaining, except for Hewitt, because he is stopping us from cleansing the field currently. And Dench puts in a fast enough outlap to see him ahead of Mitchum, and let's see what that gap is going to be. It's 9 seconds currently, 10. He's not gained much. It's going to be around the same, around that 12-second mark, perhaps even out to 13 by the time Mitchum gets up to speed.
Jake Jackson, David Alex Schmidt, Daniel Hill, Adam Chiplin all in pit lane at the moment, and Dean Eldridge as well. So the field not yet quite cleansed. Wayne Hewitt still to pit. He will do so most likely this time around. We're on lap 25, quarter of an hour to go at the Temple of Speed, the Monza circuit in Italy. Nice to have you along for the ride. Terrific to have your company. This is Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Don't forget to join us again on Wednesday. Aidan Schultz, Daniel Correa with you for the Radicals, the Downforce Legends, into, of course, the GT4 second outing. And then on Thursday night, Daniel Correa and I back with you, 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time, and we'll bring you Formula V into Porsches on One Make Thursday. Down pit road at the moment, we're riding on board with the 26th place car of Stephen Brooks, and into pit lane there we just saw Leighton.
This is Sam
McClymont go.
Sorry, Zach.
Actually, no, it wasn't Leighton McClymont. We saw somebody else go to pit lane.
Yeah.
Wayne Hewitt, of course. My apologies, Grant. Go for it.
Yeah, sorry for jumping in. You're blessing us with a few pregnant pauses with your commentary. You just disappear for a moment then. But nicely, when you come back, you're saying exactly the same thing. There's just a gap between. So that's why I'm sometimes jumping on top of you. But
no, that's okay. I was going to say I've enjoyed sitting here for a couple of minutes and listening to you two do your best work. Give the vocal cords. The vocal cords are actually on the out of it at the moment. They didn't handle that supercar race as well as I thought they might have. Wayne Hewitt out of pit lane at the moment, rejoins the race in 5th. No surprise, Matt Dench, the effective race leader, boys. 1:46.378. He's just punched out another PB for the night. The Dench mark continues to extend his advantage out to 14 seconds now on lap 26 of what we suspect will be, as I said earlier, 33 or 34. We're good to run to the checkered flag. Next time by the line will be, it'll be about 12.5 minutes to go. And for mine, that'll be... Actually, I'm gonna wait until they come back across the line. I think we're going 33 tonight, boys. Just quietly. Here, down on the inside, Jake Jackson. Jake Jackson on the inside of Alex Schmidt. Gotcha. Schmidt wants to hang tough around the outside and force the issue going to one. Can't do so because Jackson gets in far enough to get the job done on the inside. So well done And off track goes Matt Distill, but he's got it back on, gathered it up. Oh, that's close. That's hairy between Rob Hill in 22nd place and also Tim Fuge, and Hill gets the line. Daniel Correa-Sar's got by Dean Eldridge in the background as well. Plenty happening now. The fireworks have been let off, boys.
They certainly have. They know now there's no point sitting behind the car in front. There's no point saving fuel, playing the strategy game. There's no more strategy options to push, no more buttons available to any of these drivers other than the nuclear button to go for the overtake on a track. My timing screens are flying all over the place. And we're watching Tim Fuge as he's trying to do battle with Rob Hill. Rob Hill, we just saw get past into turn one with a beautiful move. Just hugging the inside of the curb, and Tim Fuge not able to hang it around the outside. Instead took it in behind. He's going to have to wait and try to follow closely through Ascari, get a run out of the Parabolica and into the first corner if he wants to get that position back. We're now switching over to the battle between Dave Riddell and John Merritt. John Merritt in now in 12th spot. He's just creeped ahead of Dave Riddell, and he's going to hold on to the position through Parabolica.
But finds himself 9.5 seconds behind David Johnson, who is they were battling quite earnestly previously. So not sure what happened to John again. Maybe it was a long pit stop. No, it's about the same as everyone else. So maybe just a little misfortune.
Quite possibly, although he has been around that. Merritt has been around that position for most of the race, has he not? I remember him battling with David Johnson before.
Yeah, he was right with him. Now it's 9.5 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, he said Merritt lucky maybe to have a little bit more pace, but perhaps make a few mistakes. And I think Johnson has picked up the pace and just pulled away from Merritt. His best lap's not as good, but I wonder if he's just been more consistent, as you called it earlier. A really good day drive from Dave Johnson, just holding on to 11th place, and he'll be hoping that somebody in the top 10 doesn't make it to the finish so that he can inherit a top 10 result in the second race of his comeback after taking a season off. We're now continuing to watch this battle with Adam Chiplin and Dean Eldridge. This is a battle we've flicked between on and off from this battle all through the race here tonight because it's been so good. We've had Hill, Fuge, Correa-Sar, Chiplin, Eldridge all in this battle at various points, and now we've returned to it, and it's Chiplin down 4, Correa-Sar down 7th from their starting positions, and behind Chiplin is Eldridge trying to get past. This is now Guy Leach. He's on the outside of Glenn Arnott. Glenn Arnott trying to get the move done through Parabolica. Guy Leach goes all out onto the green, but does it quite late in the corner, so he'll get away with that one. That's about perfect through Parabolica, depending on the car that you were in. You see the F1 cars tend to run really wide out there. The less powerful cars tend not to run quite so wide, tend to take a slightly narrower line, and the narrow line has worked well for Arnott because he's going to get past Guy Leach here into the chicane. Lovely move, and that puts him into 9th place and a little bit more securely into the top 10.
But they are drawing themselves back towards David Johnson, who's just 5 seconds up the road, as you said, in 11th spot. These guys at 10th and 9th. Go, Zach.
Okay, keep an eye on Matt Dench coming back to the line here, boys. I said at the top of the call, 4 laps in 7 minutes. So I'm looking at the clock there. We've got just over 9 on the clock. So it's going to be touch and go as he comes back to the line here. 146.371, 146.476, the last 2 laps for Denchy. So he's clocking very nicely at the moment. Round onto the main straight. Across the line he'll go, and it's going to be touch and go here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I'm just in a numerical counting exercise at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Across the line at 51 and 10. I'm going to say we've got 5 laps to go. I'm going to say we're not going to get to 34. It's going to be by the skin of our teeth that we're not going to get to 34. And it's only because we're in the 46s at the moment. And 5 by 146 is, 8 minutes and 50 seconds. And that's what we had left on the clock as Matt Dench crossed the line.
I wonder how some of those drivers are feeling with the fuel levels they took at the last stop, whether they'll be anticipating the extra lap or not. I think there's going to be some drivers disappointed in way.
I think as a matter of course, you just go, Matty Dench is in the race. We're doing an extra lap. Whatever I worked it out to be, we're doing one more.
I think that's a pretty safe way to go about it, isn't it? That's definitely what I would be doing. I just want to note, there's been some interesting changes in the field throughout that second course pit stop, so I'm not sure exactly what happened. So Chapman, who've been kind of following a little bit throughout the race, he's only up 7 spots now. He's in 24th. Of course, we saw him going over the curbs with Matty Dench, but I think a combination of that and losing time somewhere in that pit strategy has cost him about 5 positions, because he was up a lot. He was well into the double figures, up in places earlier on in this race. Something's happened to him.
I think perhaps he was running a
back
slightly alternate fuel strategy somewhere there. Let's have a look if we can pick that apart. Sam Chapman. I'll get back to you shortly. Continue on, please.
Okay, copy that. Denchy the leader. The margin 17.5 seconds. Could it be 20 by the end of proceedings here? As I say, we've got 4 laps to go as Denchy crosses the line. 4 laps to go. He's got 4 laps to put 2.5 seconds on Richard Mitchum, who's held off Jared Knight, held him off comfortably. The first real battle for position on the racetrack at the moment is Glenn Arnott, Guy Leach, and that's for 8th and 9th. We're watching Chapo down in 23rd, who charged hard early, but unfortunately that charge ended abruptly and prematurely. He's down, only having gained +8 here in 23rd position. The biggest mover of the night now, actually, is Sir Matty Scholes with 14 positions gained. 14 positions gained up into 19th place. So Scholes is about to do the double for most positions gained tonight. The old burn from the stern, as Nick Vodiatis would call it. 11 positions gained for Greg Brooks, 9 for Alex Schmidt, 6 for Nick Wood. But Matt Dench again. 146.264, gentlemen.
Just nibbling away.
146.264.
That's all a point.
Oh, he'll be in the 45 by the end of the night. That is ridiculous. He is insane, that bloke. Fair dinkum. He just continues. Yeah. And it's a Ferrari. He's not ticked the Ferrari off the box, off the list yet, off the bingo card for how many different manufacturers he's represented in a GT3 Championship Triumph. I think we can start to put the tick in there for him the way things are going at the moment.
Yeah, and if you want to know...
Not go too early yet, Zach.
if you want to know just how fast that is, study those lap times you've got there on your screens right now, thanks to the great work of Grant Gill. And just count the amount of drivers that have got a 146 as their best lap. It's not many.
One. Just one.
Two.
Yeah.
Two. Dench and Knight have both got their...
7.6, yes.
Their best of both 46. So Dench is half a second faster than the next fastest guy, and the better part of a second faster than the third fastest guy in a single lap. That is an absolute walloping. That is Verstappen to Perez level of domination, and that is that's enough to make most people want to retire.
Hello, Chase McCubbin. Good to have you pop in. Yeah, we were talking about that last week, and he's desperately hoping in the 2 seasons that he has to get to the Ford, that they throw the old Ford out and bring the new Ford in. But we'll see how that goes for him.
Exactly. Just jumping in here, 2 boys around the grounds. The Australian women 6 for 212, playing West Indies 1 for 117. They need 96 runs off the remaining 8 overs, so they would need to go at 12 and over to win from there, the West Indies. But at least they've got wickets in the shed. They have got that part of the caper and that part of the process right and down packed. There's no doubt about that. But it looks like another win coming the way of the Aussies, and we should know the result before the end of the post-race show here. Matthew, Max Verstappen, Dench. Yeah, that's a fair point from Chase McCubbin. And I know that's elaborating on what the guys were discussing here a few moments ago. We are at 9:47 Eastern Daylight Time, and I need to emphasise that again. Yes, Eastern Daylight Time. How nice it is to actually be in progressive civilization for a while.
Got Ipswich Council.
I mean Ipswich Council. I will get to in a moment. I will get to in a moment for you, Grant. Just so that you can tick that box, mate. Sam Chapman in 21st position at the moment. So this is a battle for position here with Dean Eldridge. BMW versus Ferrari. They're making their way around. Look at Eldridge. Look at Chapman moving across to try and cover it off. Eldridge will want to have a lunge down the inside and thinks better of it.
Chapman just got by
the battles continue to rage with 2 laps to go. Well, actually, it's 3 for these blokes because Denchy's on lap 32 and these blokes are still on lap 31. Oh, it's clinical from Dench. It's masterclass stuff from this guy. Back we go to Guy Leach in 10th place at the moment, chasing Glenn Arnott. And the only other battle. Oh, Jared Knight's closing in on Richard Mitchum. Keep an eye on Knighty and Mitchum on the last lap here. Knight is within 3/4 of a second of Mitchum. Keep an eye on that. They're 17 3/4 seconds off the leader. But the battle for the minor placings is well and truly alive with a lap and a half to go at Monza. I was coming back to Ipswich Council, wasn't I, Grant? I can't do that at the moment. We need to get to the post-race show before I can do that, because this race is too good at the moment, and it's testament to the guys, to the track selection, to the guys that put on the show, that we haven't had too much time to sway off topic and off task tonight. We haven't got too political, apart from belting Chris Whitaker and David Kirby out of the park there a few moments ago. 32 laps gone, 1 to go. White flag in the air for Matt Dench when he comes back to the line this time, as long as Barney's doing his bloody job, of course. Through we go. The Parabolica. 1 lap to go. 5 3/4 kilometres left for Matt Dench in what has been another prolific and emphatic performance from him on a Monday night. White flag in the air. Let's go. One more time around.
Yeah, here he comes, flying down the straight.
Yeah,
and now
let's go with him.
Yeah, flying down the straight into the first corner, all the way out to the right line. Doesn't put it stupidly close to the grass, but leaves no more than an inch there. Lovely. That Ferrari rode that curb absolutely beautifully. Often you can see cars get upset when they hit that curb on the inside at the second part of the chicane there, but that just rode it to perfection and just touched the curb on the outside, taking a lovely bit of pace. Now coming up to the second chicane.
Very close between
but
Leach and Arnott. Back to
this is a good battle to cut to, and they're both on the inside as well, so it'll be interesting to see if Guy Leach tries to go around the outside. The Dench now is approaching. That's Lesmo 1. Yes, that's Lesmo 1. Out all the way onto the curb, bring it back on to the track before the curb ends. Lesmo 2, don't screw off any more speed than you need to. Use all of the curb there, and you saw how close that left tyre was to the gravel, but not dipping into the gravel, because if you dip it into the gravel, you can shoot the car left or right. It really depends on how the tyre digs into the gravel as to what you're going to have to do to try and keep the car in a straight line. Now into this Ascari, perhaps the most important corner on the circuit and one of the trickiest. Really, really quick, not flat out. One of the most iconic chicanes in the world, and now only one more corner to go for Matty Dench to bring it round for another victory in the GT3s, and that is the iconic parabolic, a dab on the brakes, in as fast as you dare, and then get on the throttle early and just keep it floored. Trust that the back end's going to stick with you. Hang it out wide so you can unlock the steering and make it a bit easier for your rear tyres. Pull it to the inside to get the shortest run to the line, and he crosses in a 1:46.1, eclipsing his previous best.
The guy's clinical. 2 from 2 to start the new campaign. And that's not just 2 from 2 as far as race wins are concerned, but he also had pole position as well last week. He did it again tonight. Magnificent performance from Matthew Dench to win at Monza, the Temple of Speed. Our first hit out for October on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Waste Options GT3, Week 2, Term 4, Night 1, and Dench was dominant. Richard Mitchum held off Jared Knight, Simon Cox, Wayne Hewitt, Daniel Birchnell, then Matt Distill, Nick Wood, Glenn Arnott, and Guy Leach the top 10. David Johnson brings it home in 11th. Only one Porsche in that top 10. That was Guy Leach. The first of the Mercs home was Jake Jackson in 14th, but otherwise it's a sea of yellow and BMW. Ferrari, 1st, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th in all of that. 4 BMWs is an impressive improvement from them as well. Maybe, just maybe, instead of being a Porsche fight, BMW are going to return towards the competitive end of the tree as far as GT3 competition is concerned.
Yeah, you're right there. The BMWs, of course, we know they've got a nice bit of horsepower under the hood there, so that's going to help them around Monza. It's also just a really easy car to drive. Don't know how it compares to the new Ferrari because I haven't driven that yet, but I know the BMW feels absolutely wonderful behind the wheel at the moment. And we're just watching Greg Brooks cross the line in a rare Porsche. For now, this is Reece Dickinson crossing the line for Side Hustle Racing. He's got Adam Holland behind him. and they're not going to do the photo finish between the two of them, not for 25th and 26th and 27th place. And so they'll just bring it around, and I believe that's the last of our cars out on track.
Yes.
So that'll be the end of the proceedings here tonight, except for what I'm sure will be a comprehensive post-race show.
Well, in a manner of speaking, yeah, absolutely. Ipswich City Council grant, just so you can tick it off your bingo card. I've been trying to work out. I bumped into the mayor recently, actually, at the Rugby League Ipswich Grand Final day. So this is going back 3 weeks ago now. There are the results on your screen. I'll get to them in just a moment. 14.6 the winning margin. So if anything, Dench actually backed off a little bit because it was looking like it might be 20 there at one point. But no, 14.6 the winning margin in the end, and I think we got 33 was the bingo number as far as the Zaculator was concerned, and we got 24, 25, 26, 27 cars home on the lead lap. So essentially anyone that started the race got home and finished the race, started and finished, got home on the lead lap, with the exception of Adam Chiplin and Ben Woods, who ended the race in pit lane, but they'll still be classified by the virtue of the fact that they got beyond that threshold of 25. Leith McClymont, Stuart Thompson, and Martin Carew, the retirements there. And I said to the mayor, I said, so now that the football season's done, I guess the next combative big time sporting event contest in Ipswich is the mayoral elections next year. Well, the look on her face when I said that was priceless. It was fantastic. I don't have any beefs with them at the moment, Grant. Unfortunately, it's very rare that I come on here and don't have a beef with them. Probably because I'm not here. But suffice to say, the Queenslanders didn't miss a beat today, saying, "Oh, how good is it? You know, thanks to King Charlie, we've got a public holiday." Yeah, the same public holiday that every other state in the country has already observed. The only one that observed it later, as late as Queensland did, was WA last week. And thankfully, progressive and civilised parts of the country observed Labor Day today.
Yeah, well, that's
New South Wales can't tell me along with that.
Here I was thinking it was Labor Day, but you know,
that's exactly right. Because the King's birthday holiday, this is the you know effed thing about Queensland, right? This is the thing about them that really ticks me off the most, right? Right. This is the thing that really annoys me, right? They say, we've got Labor Day at the start of May, and we've got the King's birthday holiday now in October, the October long weekend, right? The same weekend as New South Wales observes Labor Day. So they're a little bit, skew-if in that regard. But they don't wait until October to recognise all their King's birthday recipients. No, they get recognised on a Monday where they actually go to work, because it's not a public holiday in Queensland. It's a public holiday in every other part of the country except WA and Queensland. That Queen's birthday, now King's birthday holiday Monday. And the right thing by the Australian government is to take ownership of the holiday and say, no, this is now going to be a national holiday. Queensland, WA, stop doing your own bloody thing, and actually allow us to recognise everybody on the same day. Because it'd be absolutely bloody stupid to hold off announcing WA recipients until last Monday and Queensland recipients until today. So they do the right thing. They mention it on the second Monday of June to tie it in with everyone else. But we just look stupid because we're observing it way later into the year than everybody else.
Good to have you back, Zach.
So yes.
And for those who haven't filled up their bingo cards.
Do you want me to go on?
No.
I've got more, am I?
No.
Although it was nice broadcasting a radio show into Ipswich on Saturday morning, Grant, and saying to them, look, next week, for those of you that do listen to me from further afield, because we do have the capacity to stream beyond Ipswich and Queensland more specifically. Next week's show will be coming to you from the later time of 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Work weren't too happy with that because they like me to give local time calls, to the point where when I go back on Remembrance Day, right, I'm back in the office on Remembrance Day, they actually want me to play the minute silence at 12 p.m. Because that, I offered to do it at 10 a.m. on time.
Yeah.
10 a.m. Queensland time, 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight. No, they want me to do it at 12 o'clock. So I apologise in advance for that. It's just
Just tell me you forgot.
Well,
forgot
mate,
remembrance
I'll be in control of the panel, so I'll do it at 10 a.m. and and I'll deal with the ramifications later. Just let me lie to the general public.
Well, we've got a couple of blokes in here who want to talk about this race.
Oh, sorry, there was a race on tonight. That's right. Yeah, sorry. Let's talk to Jared Knight and Nat Dench on that night. I might start with you, Nighty, because it's become par for the course for us to talk about Dench late in the piece and last in the piece. Because we saved the winner until last, as is tradition, and he's become quite accustomed to that role. He's become very comfortable in that role. But a very nice charge from you, mate. Started 6th, finished 3rd, and maybe a lap or two more, and you might have ended up 2nd, and you might have ended up pipping Richard Mitchum. But by gee, the BMW's got some poke this season.
Yeah, the old trusty BMW. Unfortunately, my fuel calculator did me a mischief and overfilled me by 2 laps. So that cost me a little bit, and just ran out of laps chasing Richard down. But yeah, it was really good to have that little bunny in front.
Mate, Monza, a hard circuit to, unless you're Matt Dench, a hard circuit to get any sort of free time to yourself and build a gap and get some breathing space. A very busy 33 laps behind the cockpit.
Yeah, despite it only being a handful of turns, you're always working. So it's a bit of sweat dripping off after that one, and just lucky that I tried to cover off on. I think Simon went for the undercut and covered off on that, and lucky I come out just in front of some lap traffic. Otherwise, that would have been a different story.
And it's a sort of track, as you said, with just a few really hard stops. The trouble with the straights leading up to them is you've got a lot of time to think about where you're actually going to put your foot on that brake, don't you?
Yeah, it's almost a bit too much time, Grant.
Too much thinking time. Just leave me alone. Let me drive. Yeah.
Nighty, what are your thoughts on the season at large, mate? Because obviously I looked down the results sheet here from last week, and it wasn't the best outing for you, 19th. So, I mean, really, you've probably already burnt one drop round. But this time round, hang on, what's going on? We had Sebring last week for the GT3, didn't we? Not Hockenheimer, and we've got Monza tonight. So that calendar is completely not thrown me, Grant, because you've got the opening round of the supercars and the opening round of the GTs as the 1 and 2. Okay. Sorry.
I did it in a bit of a hurry this afternoon. Let me see.
I was looking at that and thinking, hang on, what's going on here? What have I missed? I'm sure we're at Monza tonight. No, all good. 90, not the best running last week at Sebring. So you've probably already essentially burnt one drop round. What are your aspirations for the next 8 weeks now? And when you look at that calendar, what are you most fearful of as regards to what could get in the way? What could, trigger another bad result potentially?
Well, that not being the calendar, I'm not too sure, but if you give me 2 seconds, I'll be able to answer that question.
I was going to say, the remaining 8 races are right. Yeah, it's just that 1 and 2 that were mixed up the wrong way.
Right.
I'm looking at the calendar. It's a lot of tracks with a lot of long straights, so suit the Beamer, Road America, Fuji, Watkins Glen, and the Beamer's always good at Bathurst, so not too many unfavourable tracks for the Beamer for the rest of the season.
And the unknown of Leiden.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that track until
that is a new circuit to me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that will be that might be the drop round. Yeah.
What about tyre wear and fuel burn tonight, mate? I mean, it looked like everyone was on very similar strategy. So let's not worry too much about the fuel. What about the tyres?
In that second stint, I kept checking and unchecking that left front to maybe change it in that second pit stop, but the car sort of just seemed to get a little better towards the back end of that stint. So I just thought, well, why change a good thing? And I guess it probably wasn't much of a muchness really. It might have helped me get behind Richard a bit quicker, but tyre wear wasn't too bad.
No, indeed. And I guess it was good race pace from you and good racecraft, really, that helped you move up 3 spots. It wasn't an easy thing to achieve tonight, unless you're starting far back in the field and relying on people making a mistake around you, and there were plenty of them, but not at the pointy end of town.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing with my racing. I guess all this year is I'm a victim of my own poor qualifying. That's sort of what killed my race last week, amongst a few other things. If we can try and get a few more positions in qualifying and make it a little less more difficult, the race pace should help us just keep these podiums coming.
All right, mate. Very nicely done.
Benji.
Are we gonna see you jumping behind the wheel of a Porsche on a Thursday night at all this season?
Possibly. Unfortunately, I'll miss GT4 this week, heading up to the mountain on Wednesday. So, yeah, and unfortunately, miss Phillip Island. But yeah, we might do some Porsche racing next week.
Let me ask you this. GT4 now in a prime time slot, longer races. How are you finding it?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it last week at Indy. So yeah, I definitely think it's a bit better of a format for the GT4 rather than just the consistent sprint rounds. That the car offers up a little bit more. You can do a little bit of strategy with it. So I think it's rightly placed.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. Liam Banks, fire away. What do you want to ask Jared Knight in our post-race show here?
So you've raced with... I'm going to go back to a thread we've actually been pulling on a little bit throughout the night. Obviously, Sam Chapman's joined you in the GT3s for the first time, and you've had some really good battles with him in the GT4s recently. But Chapman's not got the pace of you so far in the GT3s. So for him and for anybody else looking to step from the GT4s to GT3s, what's the best advice you can give them, because you seem to be able to master both cars?
Oh, I wouldn't say master. Another bloke in this broadcast booth, and you can probably put that tag.
True. Yeah, fair. I'll take the point.
So in that case, that makes you the apprentice, Naughty, does it?
Yeah. Maybe a second year apprentice or something. Yeah, definitely not a master. But I don't know. It's they're sort of similar in a way. I'm pretty sure I've been asked this before. It's just the GT4 you can sort of slide around a little bit more, whereas you sort of got to trust I find I can slide it around a little bit more, and I don't know, I find it brakes a little better, so you can maybe go just as deep as the GT3, but all in all, I don't really think I drive them too differently to each other, so anyone that's going from GT4 to GT3, I'm not sure if that helps.
Yeah, interesting. Thanks for that answer. It's I find it really interesting because, like you said, they are similar, but those nuances can really trip some drivers up and lead to some pretty big differences in pace, and of course, just the extra pace as well makes it harder to judge every braking zone, every steering input, and actually get it right when you got a bit more power on your foot and you're approaching the corners at a higher speed. So thanks heaps, and I'll pass it back over to Zach.
Nighty, stick around. I might get a chance to come back to you in just a moment. Stick around and take some notes, actually, if you want, because we've got the benchmark about to join us in the booth here. Before I go to him, though, I do have one more question for you. But the BMW, I've always been a fan of it. I know you're a fan of it as well. Such a great car. It's nice to see it humming along so nicely and being second only to Ferrari at the moment. And we knew the Ferrari was going to be strong this season because, obviously iRacing have manufactured it that way in some respects. When you think about the fact that it is the new car, it is the new toy, all that flashy wham bams, thank you ma'am sort of aspects to it. But the BMW is just plodding along nicely, and something big's coming. Hopefully, we'll see a BMW back on the top step of the summit on a regular basis soon in GT3. And not only do I want your comment on that, but also the way in which this field is now whittled down from having the choice of 8 manufacturers to only there being 4 on the grid tonight. A few Porsches, a sprinkling of Mercedes as well, but clearly the love is with Ferrari and BMW at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And I think obviously just in this field, just minus Denchi, that's it's so close. Like I know, like qualifying, there was like less than a tenth between second to sixth. So yeah, the spread's really good. I think iRacing got the bop pretty much spot on. But yeah, I guess with the Beamer, it's just it doesn't have. Oh, I guess it doesn't have really any major flaws, or I guess maybe some other cars do, and they'll sort of stick out at certain tracks. If I had to say one thing about the Beamer, it's drive out of slow speed corners probably lacks, or that could be my right foot, maybe just the way I drive it. But yeah, no, it's a brilliant car to drive, great endurance car. Yeah, most special events for GT3s, I'll end up rolling around in this thing because it's just it's safe, and it sort of tells you what it's going to do before it does it. So.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. Let's bring in Denchi at this point in time. Stay with me, Nighty. Denchi, well done, mate. Clinical again. Controlled the pace of the race beautifully in the opening stint. Opted for a shorter fuel compared to your nearest opponents in the first stop. Came out with a 5.5 second advantage. Managed to break the toe in doing that, and then the rest was just clinical, typical number one stuff on a Monday night. You cleared out into the sunset and did it easy, mate. 14.5 seconds to the good. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. It was pretty good night out there, and we messed up the purple lap on the final lap there, but not to worry.
You had it from a previous lap though.
Oh, well, exactly. It's not as though you didn't already have it secured, Denchi. It was just more like trying to put the cherry on top of the icing on what was already a well-decorated cake.
Who called him Matthew Max Verstappen, Dench?
Exactly.
Yeah, it was a 0.1, but I grabbed an off track, so it didn't count, unfortunately.
Oh dear. In saying all of that, mate, another impressive performance. Were you worried at any point by the pressure that was looming in the form of Knight, Cox, Hewitt, Mitchum, etc.?
Had they went the extra lap, would have been a bit more worried. But as soon as they went like that one lap short in the first stint, then we know we've got that gap to get away. So.
That was the difference, wasn't it? As soon as you get that extra lap out of the tank, you knew that you were looking good. You were sitting pretty. It was just a base of or a case of hitting your markers and not fluffing it at any point.
Yeah, you get that extra lap and then just short fill, so you're not taking as much fuel, and that just gives you the gap to break that toe, so you just cruise on from there.
Matt, do you think the last bop actually made the car any stronger? We were talking about it being made out of tissue paper last week. Is it a stronger cellulose product after the update, or no change?
I'm not real sure. I haven't clipped anything yet, so the panels managed to stay on tonight.
Excellent.
How are you finding the Ferrari, mate? Is it as good a challenge or as an enjoyable a challenge as you had anticipated?
It's actually pretty fun to drive. It's pretty lively on throttle on corner exits. So it keeps you on your toes the whole time you're in it.
Liam, sorry, I caught half of Denchi's answer, and then there was a small network glitch. Liam, anything you want to throw at Denchi before we go on and talk about next week?
Where do you reckon a 5 was there? We saw you get to 6s, the low 6s. Do you think a 5's possible in the car?
For qualifying, yeah, but like not in race trim. I don't think. Like my qualifying set was quite a bit different. So.
You gave it a red hot go though.
Yeah, we definitely give it a good go, and qualifying. I think it was a 6.0, wasn't it?
I also noticed before before your final lap, you had 1 or 2 laps were a little bit slower. Were you deliberately cooling the tyres to really go for it on your final lap?
We were actually going to push on to 34 laps if I kept those low 46s going. So we had to back it down a little bit, and yeah, really wanted to cool down the tyres at the same time. So
just need to run on the grass for a little bit, don't you, to do that?
Used to be a thing.
I should have got on comms and asked for that extra lap. It might have been enough to get Mitch.
You're overfilled, weren't you? Yeah, you mentioned that. That would have been. You should have mentioned it. Matt, just go a bit faster, would you? said no one ever.
Exactly. I mean, let's be honest, gentlemen. It was a couple of seconds this side of time. Otherwise, we would have been going around for an extra lap. There was bugger all in it in the end, and that's why it was so hard to call whether it was going to be 33 or 34. But with about 5 laps to go, and given the pace was a minute 46, he hit the line with 8 minutes 50 on the clock. At a minute 46 a lap, that was bang on 5 laps, and he came home just a couple of seconds after the 1 hour mark. So our maths was spot on yet again. In saying all of that, Denchi, there would have been a couple of people a little bit disappointed that you didn't get the extra lap tonight. We always love a bit of overtime as well, as you know. In saying that, nice to see that you've been able to tick the boxes the first 2 weeks, Sebring and Monza, and now we mix things up and we go to what has at times been your Achilles heel. We go to sprint racing, we go to Laguna Seca. We can hardly wait for that next Monday night. Promise it to be a belter.
Yeah, Laguna Seca should be pretty fun. It'll be interesting to in the second race for the reverse grid. Pretty tough track, nice and windy. Lots of elevation change, so it'll be very tiptoey to get your way to the front.
Especially if it's hot. But save all your best work for the second race, because we're going to do the AM split broadcast for the first race, and then the pros for the second race. So save all your good stuff up for the second race.
Yeah, you'll tune into lots of carnage, I think.
Indeed.
Have you?
Have you heard of Circuit de Lebanon?
Drop round, I think you said.
Okay, copy that. No one has. If you haven't, no one has.
I think Circuit de Lebanon is in France, and it's another drop. It might be my drop round as well, Denchi, just quietly, because that's the day I'm meant to be heading back from the Postie Bike Grand Prix to Ipswich, and I'll get lost in transit, winding the clock back 112 years along the way, and probably won't make the broadcast. But that's another story for another day. How's your bingo card going, Grant? All good?
Yeah, it's full. I've gone through the paper into the tablecloth, and now I've ruined the good table. The ink's just soaked all the way through. I've hit the same button every 7 times.
Very good. Just making sure I tick all the boxes while you're here. I've got to make the most of you being here on a Monday night. We don't normally get the privilege.
Try the
no, don't worry. I'll come in firing off the long run again next Monday night, just for you, my friend. Denchi, obviously, the rest of the calendar is looking good. I mean, Road America yesterday, a 4-hour run around there. What did we run yesterday, Denchi? Was it the Porsche or the BMW or the Merc yesterday? It was the Porsche, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Porsche.
Yeah, a car that you're familiar with. So talk to me about the differences between the Porsche and the Ferrari, and why you haven't yet gone and dabbled in the BMW with 90, because clearly they're looking competitive as well at the moment.
Yeah, well, the BMW will be next season. Like the differences between Porsche and Ferrari, like Ferrari's got the legs on the straight, the Porsche's got the grip in the corners, really.
Simple as that, Zach.
Right.
Simple as that.
A bit simple as that. We know 90's got a love-hate relationship with Porsche vehicles, so I'm not going to touch that with a barge pole. Denchi, when do we... so this season Ferrari, next season BMW, is that the plan of attack, please?
Yeah, that is most definitely the plan.
And hoping like hell they change the Ford out before second part.
Bring in the Mustang, yeah, exactly. In saying all of that, though, Denchi, I mean, you look at... I asked Nighty the same question. What do you make of the fact that we've only got 4 manufacturers on the grid at the moment, and there's 4 that aren't being played with in this pro split?
Well, if you don't count the Ford, like all the cars pretty well balanced. Like you could turn up in anything and do just as good as any other. So.
So it's just personal choice, really, and the fact that the Lamborghini and the Audi give you a hell of a headache just from the engine note.
Yeah, just whatever you're most comfortable with is more or less where your best times will come from at the moment. And the Audi and the Lambo, they're pretty difficult to navigate around with. So.
And the McLaren's been out of favour for some time for all but yourself.
Yeah, the McLaren's probably on par with the Audi and Lambo. It's just really difficult to control in direction changes and things. So.
Which is a fairly significant part of running a car around a track. Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you go.
Nighty, what are your thoughts on Laguna Seca, please, while we've still got you, mate? And I apologise, I should have probably asked you about that one earlier.
Yeah, I haven't run around in Laguna Seca for a while, so we'll have to definitely get some laps in on Monday afternoon when I get back from Bathurst. So, yeah, a bit of an unknown. Well, I'm not too sure it's going to suit the Beamer to a T. So, yeah, should be plenty of fezzes up the front end, but yeah, we'll do our best to get a good result.
All right, very nicely done. Anything else from Gilly or Liam Banks at this point in time for these two gentlemen?
I'm good.
No, nothing from me.
I'm running sour for questions as well for some reason. I'm not sure. Actually, there's one I didn't ask Denchi. Did you take tyres at any point, please? Because I did see a couple of cars dropping for rubber in one of their pit stops. Did you go for rubber at any point tonight?
No, started on the start and finish on the same set. So.
Oh, very nice. That just adds even more insult to injury, doesn't it? When you look at the fact that he punched out the fastest lap with 2 laps to go, and he, of course, won the race by 14.5 seconds, and he did it on the same set of rubber. Just clinical stuff as per usual. And 60 minutes is cruising the park compared to 4 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, it's much easier to do an hour than 4 for sure.
Zach,
very nicely done.
Covering the GT3 is just like you watching your home and aways. You know exactly what's going to happen from the opening bell, and you're not surprised by anything that goes on during the course of it generally.
Well, actually, no. I need to go back and actually connect this
haven't mentioned the
home and away tonight because I caught bits and pieces of it whilst Mum was giving me a very nice roast pork dinner. But haven't been able to watch all of it because I was watching the clock, setting this up, having dinner. So I'm going to watch Home and Away once we get off air here. Yeah, very nicely done. Well, we've also had a sick puppy dog this afternoon, so I didn't. Yeah, and so a couple of things going on at the Caven headquarters in Cessnock, but that's life, isn't it? She's just a bloody roller coaster at the best of times. Denchi and Jared, thanks guys for jumping on in. Safe travels, Jared. Denchi, you enjoy your week as well. We'll hopefully catch up with you like same time, same place next week. And Denchi, GT4 Wednesday. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. We'll turn up and hopefully get our setup a little bit better and maybe fight for the podium this time.
He's having a crack for a second GT4 title and potentially relinquishing that number one that he's held on to for so long on a Thursday night in the Porsches. Go well, mate. Thanks for that. Let's thank the people that make it possible for us to do what we do here on the platform to the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, beginning with Waste Options. And, of course, we need to also thank Lobesy Racing, the great people at Orbic Australia. Good on you, Pete Matson. Login Systems, of course, the sponsor of our GSRC Endurance Championship. M-Wave, great to have Daniel Correa SARS mob on board. Flash Graphics, good on you, Johnny Simpson. And Player One Sim Gear back on board for a second term as far as their involvement with the GSRC is concerned. That's just about it from us. We're almost done. Before we look ahead to what is a very big second and third week on the platforms of the GSRC, your highlight, your low light of the night, gentlemen, and who was the driver of the night, please?
I'll leave that to Liam. You know how good I am at those sort of things whilst flashing buttons all over the place.
To be honest, though, Banksy, as I go to you, thank Christ the GT3 race was tame in comparison to the supercars.
Oh, I was about to say, there's only one winner for the thing of the night, and that's got to be that ending to the supercars. 5 cars in and multiple cars going off track. We had cars going deep at the chicane, and then we had cars getting taken out of the parabolica when they'd already started taking themselves out earlier on in the parabolica. It was absolute chaos. You didn't know who was going to win until they actually crossed the line. That's just got to be the highlight. That's probably the most exciting single lap of racing that I've seen in the GSRC, and that's saying something, given I've commentated a few seasons alongside yourself now.
Welcome
You have
back,
indeed, and on that
Super2s.
subject, actually, did you miss us yesterday? Did you miss not being involved in the enduro? Because I must admit, for someone like me who's always out doing other sporting or radio commitments on a Sunday and not able to tune into the enduros, it was a nice novel to actually be involved for a change. It was a bit like Plan C being activated because all the other available options were null and void and unavailable.
I did miss it. I was very sad when I realised that it was going to clash with my holiday. I was absolutely good because I really enjoy commentating the enduros. It's very different to commentating the Monday or the Thursday night action or whatever night I happen to be commentating. It's a very different feel, and it's really lovely. The Endurance Championship's definitely one of the closer ones to my heart. The GSRC. I think it's been brilliant, and given I raced and commentate in it, it's like missing out twice in one day.
And boys, I've just had a look at the points table because, as we know, Adam Lavis is away playing sandcastles at the Chase, and hopefully not playing mud pies. That might come later in the week. But I'm very pleased to say there's been no movement whatsoever on the point scores. He's actually enjoying himself, and a lot of people might not know, but Adam's a non-drinker as well, so I guess he's just going to be the sensible one with brother Trent, just sampling every spicy colour he can get anywhere near. And there's quite a gaggle of GSRC boys up on the mountain, and Jordan Malcolm in town, the one place he didn't want to be. But
he's actually there to watch the racing, unlike the rest of them. Adam Lavis.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. So
when you go to Melbourne.
There'll be no movement on the point scores until probably next Tuesday or Wednesday, I would think. Not tomorrow, but a week from here. So glad to see he's relaxing a bit and having a well-earned break away from the club.
Indeed. All right, very nicely done. Let's have a look at what's coming your way on the platforms of the GSRC. There's a smorgasbord of action this week. There's no doubt about that. Tomorrow night, not on air, but certainly for those that are members of the club, paid up financial members, these two races there for the offering. We start with the Labsy Racing Up and Comers series from Zandvoort and the Formula 4 entries, the Formula 4 vehicles, 7:55 Eastern Daylight Time. Remember, all times now are Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Thank Christ for that. Road America, the Civil War continues. The GT1s starting at 9:40 Eastern Daylight Time, just 35 minutes worth of racing there. Downforce Legends from Long Beach, yeah, that'll be good. Wednesday night, 2 sprint races, 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time, then on to Phillip Island. As long as we're not in the dark, it'll be good. For GT4, All-Week Australia GT4, 40 minutes worth of sprint competition there from 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We're off to Motorsport on Thursday for Formula V. That will be well worth the price of admission from 7:45. Don't worry about that, let me tell you. And then on to Circuit de Jerez for the second round of the Blackout not the Blackout Electrical Solutions Porsche Cup anymore. It's just the GSRC Porsche Cup. We don't have a naming rights sponsor on that one at the moment. Jerez sprint racing, the order of the day. Looking forward to it immensely. Friday night, IndyCar. Have a look at this. IndyCar's back from the Auto Club Speedway in California. Yes, we're going to. I don't give a stuff if they. No. The IR18s, and that's of course 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time. 105 laps ahead of them there. On to the Volkswagen Beetle for the Mountain Men. How good is that going to be? Bathurst, Mount Panorama, the Mountain Men, Saturday night, 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time, 32 laps there.
I think
and we're back with you next Monday night.
Yeah, I think the VW only comes in a rallycross configuration. I'm not sure, but that'll be a hell of a race.
It'll be fantastic. Good luck to them Saturday night. That'll be well worth the price of admission. Monday night, off to Phillip Island. So, fresh off the hangovers of Sunday, we're backing up on Monday night. There'll be a tale of the walking wounded in more ways than one on track. Super2s from Phillip Island for Player One Sim Gear. That's from 7:50 Eastern Daylight Time, followed by at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The third round of the Waste Options GT3 series. We've got an AM split race and a Pro split race as we go to Laguna Seca for sprint racing. The first time we've seen sprint racing throughout the course of this term on a Monday night. Looking forward to that immensely. But in the end here, we've seen an absolute cracker, a grandstand finish in the supercars. Play One Sim Gear, if ever there was one. I mean, what an absolute ball terror of a race that was. Well done to all concerned for the entertainment they provided there. If you didn't enjoy it, go and check your pulse, because you're very difficult to please. And apologies when you go back. No, it wasn't streamed on YouTube. We had problems with YouTube, but that's okay. Facebook and Twitch, go and get amongst it there. But yeah, if you're going to go back and watch that last lap of the supercars again, turn the volume down. I feel as though my two co-commentators here will be going and getting hearing aids by the end of the week, because we absolutely blew the roof off the house here when those guys were doing what they do best. And of course, well done to Matt Dench again, clinical in GT3 Pro. On behalf of Grant Gill, Liam Banks, the rest of the broadcast commentary and production team here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, Aidan Schultz and Daniel Correa. We'll see you Wednesday. I'll be back Thursday with Daniel. We're looking forward to more great racing where that came from, as week 2 of term 4 of 2023, or 9, 10, 11 if you're in Queensland, continues. And there's one more cheeky jab on the way out just for you, Grant, on behalf of the crew. Thanks for being with us. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Can you believe we've been doing this for 15 seasons now on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club? And if it's any indication as to what we're in for the next 8 weeks based on what we saw in the entree tonight, stick around, because it'll be well worth the price of admission. I'll see you Thursday. The boys will see you Wednesday. Great racing ahead in one of the big weeks on the calendar. There's Formula 1 coming up this weekend, and also that thing west of the Blue Mountains, and the start of the Cricket World Cup. Smorgasbord of sporting action. And on that note, well done to the Australians and the West Indians tonight, actually. Can you believe this? From the North Sydney Oval, we're 1-1 in that T20 International Women's Series. The West Indies got the job done. 7 wickets in the shed, 1 ball remaining. On Thursday night at Allan Border Field in Brisbane, they decide the T20 portion, or the component of this multi-format tri-series international series, because they've got a 3-match series for the T20s and a 3-match series for the one-day internationals, which starts on Sunday. But yes, we're 1 apiece now, with an emphatic, probably a record-breaking run chasing women's T20 international cricket by the West Indians to get the job done over the Aussies tonight. A shock loss for them, no doubt about that. They'll regroup and go around again on Thursday. So will we. But Daniel Correa and Aidan Schultz will be here on Wednesday as well. On behalf of the crew, thanks for your company. Have a great evening. I'm Zach Cabin. Bye.